mountain, I look down and see a world I was once underneath. I stand on this mountain and I look down by mine. There's more than it once knew. Then I knew. Then I knew. Then I knew. Then I knew. Now you're here. You're here. You're there. Now everywhere with me. If this is lost, then there's no place I'd rather be than found me see. Found me see. I climb down this mountain and I look around just to see that everyone used to be me. I climb down this mountain and I look around my mind, embracing more than the truth, than the truth, than the truth, than the truth, than the truth. Now you're here, you're here, you're there. Now everywhere with me. If this is lost, then there's no place I'd rather be. Found me sing. Found me sing. I once was blind, but now I see the beauty of the world before me. Now you're there. Now everywhere with me. If this is lost, then there's no place I'd rather be. Now you're here, you're there. Now everywhere with me. If this is lost, then there's no place I'd rather be than found me sing. Found me sing. Found me sing. Found me sing.
Hello, 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 my beautifuls. Thank you, Arctic, for being here. Thank you, Kimber, for being here. Doodle is not able to join us tonight. She's got some pretty gnarly storms coming through her way. Arctic, you also have some pretty gnarly storms, right?
Yeah, we actually have dust fire tornadoes happening.
Oh,
quite the interesting event.
Oh my goodness, dust fire tornadoes. Good Lord.
Yeah. Dust bowls, fires all throughout Oklahoma and Arkansas, and naders spotting up everywhere. So,
and we'll get that tomorrow and here in Tennessee.
Yep. Texas has been having quite the ordeal too. I know that Tandy said that they were getting it there. So,
sending love and prayers and safety vibes for everybody in the areas that are getting hit by these storms. Is it even that time of year for storms? My goodness.
It's springtime, and in Arkansas and Oklahoma especially, there is no specific season. We get hit all throughout the year. So
it's gotten that way in Tennessee too, Mom.
We just have the 2 hurricane seasons and then the rainy season, and other than that, it's just hot here. It's just hot.
See, it was beautiful
Hurricane
this
seasons are always
afternoon.
fun.
It was beautiful and gorgeous this afternoon. It was like 82 degrees. I was ready to take the Mustang out, and then at the flip of a dime, it just turned.
Oh
look,
no,
it's a Memphian.
that's scary. Yeah, apparently she's decided she's going to be part of the podcast tonight.
Oh, okay. Hi, Memphian.
Out of nowhere, she just
Hi, everybody.
was like grabbing my. Welcome in, everybody. Of course, we got Kimber first because she loves to be first. Arctic's coming in, and of course, he's letting us know that he'll be here as long as his power and internet hold out. We got Elisa J back in the house. Thank you for being here. We have Paula in the house. Webby came in. Webby says, leaving my DNA. I wish I could be here. Love you, Mind of Monsters. Love you too, Webby. If you catch replay crew, thank you for everything you do. Yes, please stay safe. And let's see. There's Josh the Posh. Good to see you, love. Hello, all. What a week I've had. Yeah, you said you had a pretty exciting week as well. Look here, Josh says, Arctic, stay safe. We got hit with 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. That's like Florida winds. Drifty's in the house. Thank you so much for being here. My goodness. Alicia, that song was written by a very good friend of mine. He's actually one of my best friends. He is an artist and a DJ and all the things. He's an amazing human being. His website link is in the description as well. His name is E-Rock. I love him dearly. There's Tanya, Seahawks fan. Thank you so much for being here. We got Wisdom coming in tonight. Thank you for being here. Make sure I don't miss anybody. Far's in the house. Hi, Far. Thank you so much for coming in. Always good to see you. Stormy's popping in. Hi, Stormy. Thank you for being here. Just want to make sure that I hit everybody. Thank you so much. He wrote that song many years ago, and his story. One night I'll talk about his story because his story actually fits with what we do here on the channel. So one night when we do a Barely Alive, I'll tell you guys his whole story. There's actually a book out there, so I'm not sharing anything that hasn't been shared publicly through a book. And he was also on the Montel Williams show and some other things. But that's for a different live. So tonight, I've decided, well, our team that we have, we're trying to do good things. And we're trying to engage with empathy and do things the correct way, as we always have. That's not something that has changed among us. But I did mention to the team that I wanted to start something that I've thought about for a long time and just never actually took the plunge and decided I'm going to do this. So I don't really have a set schedule of what we do throughout the week. It's just kind of whatever comes to mind or whatever happens. We try to do a Barely Alive, at least once a week. And that's where we kind of decompress. We still end up talking about cases because that's why we're here. But we also try to decompress and talk about some different things and have some laughs and maybe watch funny TikTok videos and things like that. Actually, tonight I had it planned to do males that don't get attention. And if you do this for a while, and I know Arctic can probably back me up on this, you never know what you're going to run across. You never know that you're going to be sitting there and a case is just going to jump out to you and say, hey, I need attention.
Happens all the time.
That's what happened last night. That is what happened to me last night. I took a break from YouTube because those of y'all that are in this sector or in the sector that has branched off from this one, I just couldn't do YouTube last night. So I logged on to my TikToks and I found scrolling through my videos and watching Arctic's TikToks and Doodle's TikToks and Bethany's TikToks, and I ran across a video. And it was a lady that is advocating for her sister, and she's wanting to branch out from just advocating for her sister and advocate for others as well that are not getting attention, that are not getting the footage that they need, not getting the screen time that they need, not getting the advocacy that they're needing. And she had commented, did a short video and had commented on it for some tips, pro tips on short version crime cases. And, I commented on the video. And then as you should do, which I've learned through Bethany, is you see a profile on TikTok, you're interested in that profile. Try not to interact with more than 3 videos at a time. Watch the video all the way through and hit the heart. So I went to her pinned videos, and after watching her first 3 pinned videos, I was like, this is the case that we're going to do tomorrow on Not Forgotten Friday. And I reached out to her and told her who I was and told her what we do and asked for her blessing, because that's just the right thing to do. A lot of these older, colder cases, the family members and things like that may not be with us anymore. It may be extended family, and sometimes it's really hard to get a hold of people. But the thing about TikTok is so many of these families have chose that platform to advocate for their loved ones. And because of Bethany, I've had a TikTok for a few years, but because of Bethany and advocating for Vlad and other missing people, I'm over there more often. And I'm really realizing that a lot of these families, that's where they start. That's where they start their online advocacy, is through TikTok. So, of course, I reached out and told her who he was and what we did. And I offered to print a flyer and have some flyers and things like that at the car show, because, we're featuring Vladic, but we're also going to bring advocacy for other people that are missing as well. And needless to say, she was very, very happy to have us cover her sister's case tonight. So that's what we're going to do. And on the mission statement that I wrote for our team, it says on there that we are the bridge that bridges the gap between mainstream media and families and stories. This is a case from 2001. 3 weeks ago was the first time she ever got national coverage. That was through News Nation, through the missing series that they do.
Wow.
And if you step back and you think about it, and Arctic can back me up on this too, how many thousands of families can't even get that 20-minute clip from mainstream?
Way too many. And there's families out there that have been fighting for over 10 years just to get law enforcement to take a missing persons report, much less to get any coverage on their missing loved one.
Mm-hmm. So this one is going to be one that it's going to get your blood pressure up. It's gonna make you be like, damn, not another one. But I feel like it's really important for us to give a voice tonight. And this is what I set my heart to do at 1:00 this morning. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to share her story and share her case. I pulled some clips and stuff together. And as I said, I think earlier this week, I will no longer be including source videos, source information in the description unless it's a missing case. So everything I shared tonight will be in the description. So that way the people that are here on our team or credible creators or podcasters are able to reference back to that information and take the initiative and share a real story. So that's why we're doing what we're doing tonight. And this is episode 1 of Not Forgotten. Not Forgotten Friday. I'm going to go ahead and pull her flyer up, and then we'll get into the story. Hopefully it puts us on the side like it's supposed to. There we go. So this is Danielle Bell. She is missing, has been missing since September the 30th of 2001. Her age of missing was 14 years old. Of course, this is an FDLE flyer, so it says age now 35 years. She's female, brown eyes, brown hair, blue eyes, 5'4", 120 pounds. She's white, and this is Cantonment, Florida, Escambia County. This picture on the left-hand side, once we get into her story, which I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of information where we start here. The picture on the left-hand side is a picture that was taken at the beach. And this would be the last time that her sister saw her. The picture on the right is an additional image. Danielle was last seen in the area of Cedar Tree Lane in Cantonment, Florida on September the 30th, 2001. Danielle has a scar on her right forearm and her nickname is Dani. Her photo has been age progressed to 18 years. And this is a NCMEC progression because we know that they're the ones that, there's a couple of other places that do them too, but the majority of age progressions that you see will be NCMEC age progressions. So some of the information that we share tonight may seem like we are victimizing, but I'm going to play her sister's words. We're also going to look at some news clips that show that this child was failed by her mother, who was actively using drugs and totally could have been prevented. She was 14 years old and in a relationship with a man in his 20s. She is also on the NCMEC, National Missing and Exploited Children as well. I'm going to pull that up. That if anybody wants to screenshot, there's her information. The age progressed photo. This is another photo of her. And unlike their older posters, this is about all we get from here. Just gives the same information that we read from the FDLE and age progressed to 18 years, which is this photo here, the one that's on the bottom. Oh, I didn't hit the audio thing, so I have to pull this over here. Sorry, guys, if I open all of these up at once, it doesn't want to play without cutting in and out. So I'm having to individually open the links. Thank you for everybody that's here. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yep. Wow is putting it lightly. We never lose hope, but once you guys get to viewing these videos, you'll see that the family, it's one of those cases where they want to bring her home safely and alive or bring her home and put her to rest. I'm going to show the sisters TikTok first. We tend to take more of a humanized aspect from these cases when it comes to family. Hopefully this won't take terribly too long to... I should have let it load before I shared the screen, but hopefully it won't take too terribly long. me turn the Wi-Fi off on my phone. I'll be so glad when we get some better internet out here because this internet just doesn't like me.
My sister Danielle Bell has been missing for almost 24 years. So why, after 24 years, do I think that this case can be easily solved? I'm going to tell you all the details in the quickest, most summarized manner that I can. Let's start off with before Danielle went missing. Danielle was 14 years old. She was living with her mother, a known drug addict and prostitute. The summer of 2001, Danielle met Alfredo Sanchez, who was 24 years old, through mutual friends. Alfredo Sanchez and Danielle Bell were involved in a relationship. And I do that in quotations because it is absolutely impossible for a 14-year-old to consent to sexual activity with a 24-year-old man. Alfredo Sanchez is currently serving 40 plus years in prison for 2 counts of lewd and lascivious behavior. One of those victims being Danielle and another young juvenile female. It was not uncommon for our mom to let entire weekend, and she would be with Alfredo Sanchez. Prior to Danielle's disappearance, she reported to our mother and several of her friends that she thought she was pregnant by Alfredo Sanchez and that he had told her if she told anyone, he. I also want to clarify that I myself, as Danielle's sister and Danielle's dad, did not know this information until after she went missing. So then Danielle went to a party in Heritage Park off Wellline Road, which is very close to the Sanchez residence. It was a party in the park, and from there she got into a white Lincoln Town car with Alex Sanchez, who is the younger brother of Alfredo Sanchez. They headed to 588 Cedar Tree Lane, which is the home of Robert Bassett. And Robert Bassett, Alfredo Sanchez were childhood BFFs. So Friday, September 28th, 2001, Danielle does not come home. Our mother does not call the police until Sunday, September 30th. This is after she calls Danielle's like, should I call the cops? And my grandmother, my mom's mom, also said she had to encourage her to call the police. So you'll see reports that Danielle went missing on September 30th, which is actually inaccurate. The last time she was seen was September 28th, 2001, into the early hours of September 29th, 2001, at Robert Bassett's house. I didn't find out until Monday, October 1st, 2001, early in the morning, because I just happened to call. My mother answers the phone, hysterical. My grandma gets on the phone and she's like, you need to get here. Danielle has not, Danielle's missing. She hasn't been seen since Friday night. So it wasn't until Monday, October 1st, that I found out about the possibility of her being pregnant, her involvement with Alfredo Sanchez. Now, about 2 weeks prior to that was the last time I saw my sister, and I met Alfredo Sanchez that night. I had taken Danielle to go get pictures made on the beach, which are the pictures that you're seeing on all the flyers. On the way back to her house, she asked me, can you stop at a payphone so I can call my friends to come get me? I say, no, I'm going to take you to where I got you. I'm taking you back home. This was a Sunday night. It was around 7 or 8 o'clock by the time we made it back to her house. I hear Danielle ask our mom, can Alfredo come over? Can we go ride around? She tells her yes. I'm 20 years old at the time. I sit down, I make a plate of food. I'm eating it. Next thing I know, Danielle comes inside with Alfredo Sanchez, Roel, his cousin, and his little brother, Alex. It's very apparent to me that Alfredo is way older than Danielle. So I asked my mom, what is she doing hanging around this dude right in front of Alfredo Sanchez? My mom tells me, now I want you to keep in mind, this is about 2 weeks before Danielle goes missing. My mom tells me that Alfredo Sanchez is a friend of Danielle. She babysits his son, and that He's a good guy. On October 1st, I find out that our mother has known that Danielle was pregnant for a couple of weeks. The timelines are very close. Meaning I see Alfredo Sanchez. Let me give you the exact date. I've got a calendar pulled up here. About, I'm going to say September 16th is the night that I meet Alfredo Sanchez. And Danielle and I get into a fight because she's mad at me for questioning it. And from there, my mother states that, she knew that Alfredo and Danielle were involved at least a few weeks prior to Danielle's disappearance. Shit don't add up, yo. It is my belief that our mother, Susan Bell, willingly let her daughter be involved with Alfredo Sanchez in exchange for free drugs. That is technically called trafficking, pimping your daughter out. In 2019, I find out that my mother is indeed a prostitute, verifiable. I question her about this. She absolutely denies it, and I never talked to her again. Susan Bell died October 2020 high on meth. I have an autopsy report I am more than happy to drop to the public to show this information. So, as of 2025, this is the information that we have verified, that we know to be true. About my mother being involved in prostitution, it raised some questions for sure, because there were rumors that, prior to Danielle's disappearance, that our mom had been pimping her out. With that being said, I turned this information over to the cops, Escambia County Sheriff's Office. I asked them to bring her in for questioning. And, had they already questioned her in the past? Did they give her a lie detector test? Were they going to re-question Robert and Alfredo? They never followed up on that lead. Of many leads they haven't followed up on. In April of 2024, I went back and met with the sheriff's department and asked them, what are we going to do? Why haven't these leads been followed up on? I'm ready to get national media attention on this. I don't care about your lack of resources. I don't care that you have a whole new team and you're not up to date on the Danielle Bell case. That's not my problem. So we've had the News Nation segment, WEAR 3 segment. It's become very apparent to me that the Escambia County Sheriff's Office either doesn't care or they've messed up in the past. And I actually have proof of that as well. I can tell you that Susan Bell, our mother, was involved with an officer or detective working on Danielle's case back in 2004 named Wayne Orr. An internal affairs investigation was done and they later fired Wayne Orr. She's meddled. She's caused distractions. So I still believe that Alfredo Sanchez, Robert Bassett, Christopher Rivera Brown, and Alexander Sanchez know where Danielle's body is. I think a lot of people are coming forward with information, but there's a lot of people that aren't because they're scared. People have been threatened. Anytime I have put Robert Bassett's name or the address 588 Cedar Tree Lane out on the internet, I have received phone calls and voicemails from Robert Bassett threatening me and threatening my stepfather. But here's the thing. I don't care. I don't care because I know Matt Bell can handle himself and so can I. So with that being said, if you have been a victim of Robert Bassett or Alfredo Sanchez's, I want to hear from you. All names are kept confidential. I will go to my grave with names and stories because there have been multiple victims of these guys. Robert Bassett is currently in prison until the end of this year, November 2025. He gets out. He is a threat to society. He's currently in there for multiple counts of violence. He is a killer, he is a pedophile, and he is dangerous. So please, if you have any information on the whereabouts of Danielle Arian Bell, who went missing on September 28th, 2001, please contact me. My name is Bonnie, and I am her sister. My sister Danielle Bell has been missing for almost 24 years. So why, after 24 years, do I think that this case can be easily solved?
So what do you guys think so far?
Well, my personal opinion is that Escambia County, Florida, probably wrote her off as a runaway in the beginning, dropped the ball, never took the case seriously, never had any type of real investigation, and now this piece of shit's fixing to get out of prison after all the violent crimes, which is just another failure of the system after this family's already been failed so many times already.
Yep, there's two of them. One of them's serving 40 years. The other one's fixing to get out. And we're going to look at him. And these are two bad mamma jammas. I'm talking about they should be in prison for life. When I said at the beginning of the live, I was not shaming the mother by any means. I wasn't shaming the mother. I was taking words from family that grew up, that watched, that knew. And then she died of an overdose. And like she said, if you sell your kids for drugs, that's trafficking.
Yes, it is.
Kimber, what's your thoughts so far, ma'am?
She was definitely failed. She was failed by her mother. She was failed by law enforcement. And see, this is the problem when they start stamping these kids as runaways.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when they get their little runaway stamp out. Oh, she's 14, stamp runaway.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we all know the story of another little girl who was trafficked out to her Charles Manson looking boyfriend by the name of Madeline Soto. And we all know how that case tragically ended up. So.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And how many times have we sat here and said that some of our best advocates are these families that have been through trauma and hell? And that's why I feel it's so important to do these podcasts and the interviews and stuff that we do, because these families should be able to grieve and breathe, and they're not able to grieve and breathe because they're having to be their own investigators. And the detective needed to be fired. He needed to be fired, in my opinion. I'm sorry. If you're bumping uglies with the mom of a missing child, you ain't got no business in the police force.
Nope. None.
Because that brings a whole nother list of questions. Hi, Leslie, Alicia, thank you for being here. Miss Barb, thank you for being here. Josh the Posh, thank you for being here. Thank you guys all for being here. Jody, I'm not trying to miss anybody. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. So I'm going to play the second pinned video here. Make sure I hit the little audio button. I wish that would stay turned on. StreamYard did some kind of update. Now if you don't hit it, you don't have any audio, and it's kind of frustrating.
That completely changed who you are for the rest of your life. I was 20 years old when mine dramatically changed, and I don't think I've ever been the same since. My sister Danielle Bell went missing in 2001. She was only 14 years old. She certainly looked older than 14 years old, but I still don't think that gave two grown 24-year-old men the right to grape and unalive her. So 24 years later, my family and I are stuck looking for her body. Prior to her disappearance, she was being abused by 24-year-old Alfredo Sanchez, who would later be sentenced to 40 plus years for these crimes listed down here. 2 counts of lewd and lascivious behavior against juveniles between the ages of 12 and 14. One of those victims was Danielle. Additionally, she had told some of her friends that she thought she was pregnant by Alfredo Sanchez, and that if she told anyone, he said he would unalive her. Here's where this case gets really strange. The last place she was seen was at Robert Louis Bassett Jr.'s house, who is the best friend of Alfredo Sanchez, who threatened to unalive her if she told anyone she was pregnant. Make sure you hit the follow button so you're notified when I release part 2 about my sister's story. Have you had an experience that completely changed?
My chat's acting weird. Is Dutchie in here? Hi, Dutchie. Yeah, I don't even see Dutchie.
No, she's not in there. I misunderstood. Barbara was asking how her surgery went, and I thought she was in the chat. But her surgery went well. Her surgery went well. She's back home. Last I heard, she's doing good. So just keep her in your prayers and everything. She's back to making flyers. She was making flyers for kids today. So
That woman, I swear, she's bad as we are. She just can't. She can't. That's her healing powers. Hi, Avery. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight. I appreciate it. This is a really important story that I wanted to share with you guys. So I appreciate everybody for being here. And even though Dutchie's not here, we still send her lots of love. I was like, where is she? I can't see her. Oh, this chat. But I had it with StreamYard. This one's got really video. So what I'll probably do is narrate this one for you guys. Because it's the way that it's recorded. It has super low audio.
My name is Vaughan, and my sister Danielle Bell has been missing since September 28th, 2001. And I believe this guy right here is the one that did it. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see all of his charges. 2 counts of lewd and lascivious between the ages of 12 and 15, meaning that there were multiple victims of his, one of them being Danielle and one being another juvenile female. Yesterday, I talked to that other juvenile female, and she has given me permission to share her story. Trigger warning, this does contain graphic details, and I will be changing some of the words.
Okay, so maybe it was my phone because I can hear just fine. If you guys can hear, perfect. If not, let me know because I can't turn closed captions on TikTok, or I would.
To align with the TikTok policies. Before I get into this story, I want it to be known that I will never use her name because security and safety risk are too great for. So we're going to call her victim number 2. Okay, victim number 2 was 15 years old when she met Alfredo Sanchez. He told her he was 19 years old. She wanted to start dating him, so she brought him over to her house to meet her parents and watch movies. Victim number 2's mom got suspicious that he was not indeed 19 years old like he had said. So she asked Alfredo Sanchez for ID, and he provided an ID that stated he was 19. It wouldn't be until much later that they figured out that he was in his mid-20s and not 19. Victim number 2 and Alfredo Sanchez continued to date on and off, breaking up at some points in time. During one of those breakups, victim number 2 attended a party for her best friend at a hotel. This was to celebrate her best friend's birthday. Victim number 2 did not inform Alfredo Sanchez where she was going, yet he found her anyways. So Alfredo Sanchez and his younger brother, Alexander Sanchez, showed up to this hotel, pulled victim number 2 out of that party, and put her in Alfredo Sanchez's white pickup truck. From there, they drove north to Well Line Road, which is in the north end of Escambia County, Florida, and switched cars. This took place at Sanchez's residence. From there, Alfredo Sanchez and Alex Sanchez drove victim number 2 to their cousin's house. stuck her in a room and wouldn't let her come out. She was stuck in that room for a while. So after some time, they all head back to the Sanchez residence, where they switch cars again. And this time it is victim number 2 and Alfredo Sanchez in the car. Sanchez then drives to a wooded area near his home. Victim number 2 reports that Alfredo Sanchez was extremely high on something. So they drive into the woods and he parks the car and he leans his seat back and he takes a nap. When Sanchez comes to, wakes up, he grapes victim number 2, and then he proceeds to repeat that process over and over again. After that, he drives victim number 2 to a convenience store and instructs her to go get lemon heads, and he takes her back home. After this, victim number 2 finds out that she is pregnant. Alfredo Sanchez instructs her to pack a bag and that they are going to go to Texas where he has family. Luckily, that trip to Texas never happened for victim number 2. She also stated that when Alex Sanchez and Alfredo Sanchez were both in the car together with her, she was in the back seat, and she heard Alex Sanchez ask Alfredo Sanchez, "What are we going to do with her?" It was at that point in time she became scared. Early on, when victim number 2 meets Alfredo Sanchez, she and another friend go with Alfredo Sanchez to Robert Bassett's house. This is the same home where my sister was last seen. While at Robert Bassett's house, victim number 2's best friend, who I'm going to call victim number 3, engaged in with Robert Bassett. While in the room with Robert Bassett, she discovers something called a red book. And in that red book are multiple young females in Polaroid photos. You can go from there. So I have 2 messages, the first of which is for the general public. If you yourself have been a victim of Alfredo Sanchez or Robert Bass, Cantonment, Florida, please contact me, because I believe these 2 people unalived my little sister, who has been missing for 24 years. My second message is for both Alfredo Sanchez and Robert Bassett. I'm coming for you. Hi, my name is Bonnie.
So in my humble opinion, I believe that if victim number 2 had went to Texas with him, she would as well be on a missing flyer today.
I
Just
think
my
so
opinion.
too.
Oh, yeah. No doubt
That's
in my
my
mind.
opinion as well. Because I don't think she would have ever made it to Texas.
Nope. I don't think she ever would have made it to Texas either. And these are grown ass men. I'm going to drop this in the chat. I'm also going to include it in the description as well, but I'm beginning to love these. This is the link tree for her sister's case. These are a great resource. And, you know, again, shout out to Bethany, because it was the first link tree I'd ever seen. I think they're absolutely phenomenal, amazing. And I'm going to pull it up on the screen just so I can show you guys if you're not aware of what a link tree is. These are a great resource, and it's a free resource too. So I mean, it's amazing, and it's free for a lifetime. So it's not like Wix where, you know, it's free for like 3 years and then they delete your website. So this has all the information on here. There's even a petition for Casey Anthony, which makes me happy because I can't stand her, but that's a whole different live. So the Vanished podcast has covered her case. Voices for Justice has covered her case. This is the TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and the YouTube channel. And of course, all those links will be in the description as well. But the link tree is a one-stop great place to be able to go and gather information that is official information from the family. Because as many of us would like to just give huge shout outs to law enforcement. Some of these Florida law enforcement, Missouri law enforcement, Tennessee law enforcement, the list goes on, are not so great. And I'll just leave it at that. Can one of y'all break this down, please? It was hard for me to hear it all. So we are talking about 14-year-old Danielle Bell, who went missing in Cantonment, Florida in 2001. And her monster, one of her monsters, got 40 years in prison. The other one did not. He will be out later this year. Her mother waited 2 days to contact law enforcement or to contact her father to let her know that she was missing. It is believed that her mother was trading her to this guy for drugs, and her mother then passed away in 2020 from a drug overdose.
No, Avery, she's never been found.
No, she's never been found. This is, I know you're late coming in, Avery, so this is a new series that we're starting. This is episode 1 that we're going to do, and it is Not Forgotten Fridays. So I want to highlight cases that are not getting any coverage, any national media coverage, or cases that just need to be brought back to light. Right, that's not suspicious at all. Absolutely, Alicia. You know,
and let's
kid
not
goes missing
forget
with
that.
a grown man.
Let's not forget, Mama was sleeping with one of the cops too. So how can you have an investigation when the mother's potentially involved or complicit in what's happening if you're sleeping with the mother? Tell me how that
Exactly.
works.
Exactly, Arctic. Exactly.
Exactly. How are you used to trust law enforcement when they're bumping uglies with the mother of a missing child who's a known drug addict and prostitute? Exactly. Mom of the year. Thank you so much, Avery. Thank you so much. I think it's a great thing to do, because I try not to cover trending cases. It's not because I have some kind of issue against trending cases. It's just that when you have 57 channels and 200 TikToks and 500 people on Twitter that are covering the same trending case, what about the thousands of people that are getting no coverage? So that's why we're doing. Yes, there is a petition against Casey Anthony in the link tree as well. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There should be a whole lot
Also
more
have an article
petitions
here because
against. There should be a whole lot more petitions against Casey Anthony.
Oh, girl, don't even get me started. That's a whole different live.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I think we're due for a Casey Anthony live one night. I think that'd be a good. We may put up a trigger warning on screen that night. There will be explicit language used. There will be adult language. If you're easily offended,
yeah,
don't come to the live with a thumbnail that says Casey Anthony.
Yeah, if I'm going to be on panel, we're definitely going to need that explicit language warning.
Yeah, detest the cherry picking as well, and I'm not going to do that. And it's not a mom. I agree, Barb. I absolutely agree. Yep. Absolutely agree. That's not a mother. So this is some photos that I'm going to run through first. So this is Alfredo Sanchez. This was her, let me turn my camera on so you guys can see me. Her boyfriend, her 20-some-odd-year-old boyfriend, when she was 14.
He looks.
No, I'm not signing up for your newsletter.
He looks like he has no soul. They look like some bad mama jammas.
Nope. I'm trying to be polite when I said bad mamma jammas. That was not the word I wanted to use, but
I know.
I'm
I
going to
know.
try to keep these as clean as possible. And this is the other guy. This is Robert Bassett. This is the one that gets out at the end of this year.
And Bassett is, for those of you that miss it, Bassett is Sanchez's, and that his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I thought they said.
Yep, this is his BFF. Look at him. Don't they look like winners, y'all? And that's somebody y'all want to bring home to family? This is a photo of one of the candlelight vigils that was held. Look at this. You know, no family should have to have a binder like this. No family should have to have a binder like that. It infuriates me. This is an article. This article is from February 20th, 2025. Escambia County, Florida.
Girl.
It has been nearly 2.5 decades since anyone reported. She is, absolutely. And it has been nearly 2.5 decades since anyone reported seeing 14-year-old Danielle Bell alive in Escambia County. While her family has a theory about what happened to her, no one is charged in Danielle's disappearance. But despite the time and lack of answers, her family has not given up hope. She was special, you know. She was a sunshine, Father Matt Bell said. I miss her every day. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office has 13 3-inch binders full of information on Danielle's case. They say it is still an active investigation and they need the public's help placing the last few pieces of the puzzle. WEAR News spoke to Matt Bell recently at the park off of Wellline Road in Cantonment. He became emotional thinking about the fact that he's sitting in the last place his daughter Danielle was seen alive. It's just tough, he said, holding back tears. I have to ride by here every day on my way home, on my way to work, going to town. This is what I got to ride by. Let's go back to September 28th, 2001. My sister went to a party in the park in the village, which is off Wellline Road, older sister Bonnie said. From there, she was seen getting in a white Lincoln town car. Investigators say that Danielle went to a party at Robert Bassett's home in Cedar Tree Lane. Neither Danielle nor that white town car were ever seen again. I didn't know she was hanging around these people, Matt Bell said. I never moved back in with him the following Monday. Matt Bell said that he didn't even know his daughter was gone until 2 days later when he got a phone call from her mother. Sunday night, I get a call about 9 o'clock, Bell recalled, said, hey, Danielle never came home Friday, so you think I ought to call the law? I said, are you kidding me? I said, you called me on Sunday to let me know my daughter didn't come home for 2 days? I said, yes, you call the law. Despite search after search, year after year, investigators never uncovered a crime scene, and Danielle's never came home. The not knowing, Bell said, is the hardest part of the whole thing. Please let someone who knows to give us a lead that we can bring Danielle home. This is our biggest goal. Escambia County cold case investigator James Larry Hall Jr. says Danielle's cold case is still active. He has been in touch with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, asking them to review the case and investigations that spawned out of it. The best of my recollection, this is probably the most worked case I can recall in 28 years, the Sheriff's Office Hall said. There were some arrests that were made earlier on. Alfredo Sanchez and Robert Bassett were both arrested as a result of the investigation into Danielle's disappearance. Alfredo Sanchez was sentenced to 40 plus years in prison for 2 counts of lewd and lascivious behavior against juveniles, Bonnie explained. Investigators arrested Robert Bassett in January of 2002 for stalking and threatening a man they had questioned about Danielle's disappearance. They went as far as searching Bassett's home and a septic tank outside. The missing teen was never located. There was some tremendous focus on what some of those suspects, and they were never eliminated because of the possibility responsible for her disappearance, Hall said. Never got to the point where there could be an arrest. We certainly they were certainly never eliminated. Hall said that new information on the case comes in, but not often. Never what we're looking for, he said. Never had to never exactly what happened to her. Hall said it tends to come from people who have been in jail or prison or who want to have some sort of leverage from a situation that they are in. Detectives will go and speak with those people and any others have information because they hope to find out something new. Detective Hall said Sanchez, Bassett, and another man continued to be people of interest in Bell's case. Everybody said she's dead, they killed her. And I don't know that, Matt Bell said. I'm going to root until I know for sure. There are people found every day. You know, that's my hope. That's my hope because I'll never give up. Now, nearly 24 years after Danielle disappeared, Bonnie is taking advantage of the ever-changing technology to put her sister's face back in the spotlight. Her social media videos are drawing more than 13,000 followers, and the number is growing every day. I feel like someone needs to fight for her, and for the whole truth needs to be told, she said. It is important to give Danielle a voice. My goal is to find her remains and give her a proper burial, she added. I think she deserves that. She, at bare minimum, deserves to be properly buried, and not only for that, but for her and the rest of the family, too. Danielle would have turned 38 this year. You know, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking to hear these families cry. They cry for help, for somebody to listen,
Absolutely.
to be a voice for these families. You know, and this man has to drive by there every day. Every day. Every day he has to drive by that park where his daughter was last seen. Hey, Mikey, thank you so much for being here. We're trying to watch our language in these. Just on these, on the Not Forgotten Fridays, because you never know when the families are going to come in to chat. And I've actually been in contact with her sister, Bonnie, and I just kind of want it to stay as family friendly as possible, just for the families. I'm trying hard, but I am a truck driver's daughter, so we're doing the best I can over here. Thank you so much for being here, Mikey. I appreciate you being here. Arctic says, unfortunately, you'd be surprised how many families that I work with that have binders of information of their investigation since Ellie won't investigate. Some have entire rooms full. Yeah. Yep. And I think that is what gets under my skin the most, is the fact that, like I said, these families can't grieve. These families can't have their peace because they're out here doing the damn thing when law enforcement should be. And guys, you saw on the top video that she talked about how this guy goes after her. Here in just a little bit, we're going to look at some screenshots from the official Facebook where he is some pretty gnarly threats towards Bonnie. And law enforcement said there wasn't enough there to do anything. I read the article, but again, I feel like it's humanizing to watch the family speak, and her father is actually in this clip, so hopefully it'll play without buffering a whole lot.
It's saying 14-year-old Danielle Bell alive. She was last known to be at a Cantonment park, and while her family has a theory about what happened to her, no one is charged in Danielle's disappearance.
Despite all that time and lack of answers, Bell's family is not giving up hope. Tonight, the teenager's father and sister share with us how they're still trying to close this case. WEAR Samantha Sturbin joining us in the studio. And Samantha, this case has a lot of moving parts.
So many moving parts. In fact, the sheriff's
You got to be kidding me. Yeah, I guess the news station here decided that they I love Wear News, but their website is the world's worst about that. Let me see if I can. I think I have it saved from the YouTube channel too. And I just watched this earlier to make sure it would play. Isn't that a shame? But I'm getting used to these local news stations doing that download timeout thing. So I've learned to grab the backup from YouTube. Isn't that sad? Is it still froze, y'all? Is it still froze?
It's not even up on the screen.
No, not on the screen.
Well, that would be operator error. I should have just started out with this instead of trying to play from the news article.
About what happened to her. No one is charged in Danielle's disappearance.
Despite all that time and lack of answers, Bell's family is not giving up hope. Tonight, trying to close this case. WEAR Samantha.
Oh, good grief. Now it's not sharing the. Okay.
It's been nearly 2.5 decades since anyone reported seeing 14-year-old Danielle Bell alive. She was last known to be at Cantonment Park. While her family has a theory about what happened to her, no one is charged.
Despite all that time and lack of answers, Bell's family is not giving up hope. Tonight, the teenager's father and sister share with us how they're still trying to close this case. WEAR Samantha Sturbin joining us in the studio. And Samantha, this case has a lot of moving parts.
so many moving parts. In fact, the sheriff's office has 13 3-inch binders full of information on this case. It's still an active investigation, one where they need your help placing the last pieces of the puzzle.
She was special, you know. She was a sunshine. Miss her every day.
Sitting on a picnic bench at a park off Well Line Road, Matt Bell gets emotional thinking about the fact that this is the last place his daughter Danielle was seen alive.
It's just tough. I have to ride by here every day. On my way to work, on my way home, if I go into town, this is what I got to ride by.
Let's take you back to September 28th, 2001. Danielle Bell was 14. Her older sister Bonnie walks us through her last known footsteps.
My sister went to a party in the park. From there, she was seen getting in a white Lincoln Town car.
Investigators say that's when she went to a party at Robert Bassett's home on Cedar Tree Lane.
I didn't know she was hanging around these people. I never knew. This would have been a automatic snatch. You're out of here. You're not going there. You're not hanging around guys 24 years old. You're 14 years old.
Neither Danielle nor that white town car were ever seen again. Matt Bell says Danielle was living with her mother at the time, though she was expected to move back in with him the following Monday. Bell says he didn't even know his daughter was gone until 2 days later when he gets a phone call from her mom.
Sunday night, I get a call about 9 o'clock. Said, hey, Danielle never came home Friday. So you think I ought to call the law? I said, are you kidding me? I said, you called me on Sunday to let me know my daughter didn't come home for 2 days? I said, yes, you call the law.
Despite search after search, year after year, investigators never uncovered a crime scene, and Danielle's never come home.
The not knowing is the hardest part of the whole thing.
To the best of my recollection, this is probably the most work case that I can recall in 28 years at the sheriff's office.
Escambia County cold case investigator James Larry Hall Jr. says to this day, Danielle's case is still open. He's even been in touch with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, asking them to review the case and the investigations that spawned out of it.
There were some arrests that were made earlier on.
Alfredo Sanchez was sentenced to 40 plus years in prison for 2 counts of lewd and lascivious behavior against juveniles between the ages of, I think, 12 and 15.
Detectives say Sanchez was charged with those sex crimes as a result of the investigation into Danielle's disappearance. Investigators arrested Robert Bassett in January 2002 for stalking and threatening a man they had questioned about Danielle's disappearance. Detectives went as far as searching Bassett's home and the septic tank outside with no luck.
There was some tremendous focus on some of those suspects, and they were never eliminated from being possibly responsible for her disappearance. Never got to the point where there could be an arrest, but they certainly were never eliminated.
Detective Hall says Sanchez, Bassett, and another man continue to be people of interest in Bell's case.
Everybody said, well, she's dead, they killed her. And I said, I don't know that. I don't know what you know, but I'm not going to that route until I know for sure. So there's people being found every day that's 25, 30 years ago. That's my hope. That's my hope. Because I'll never give up.
In 24 years, Danielle disappeared. Bonnie is taking advantage of ever-changing technology to put her sister's face back in the spotlight.
Hi, my name is Bonnie, and my sister Danielle Bell has been missing since September 28th, 2001.
Her videos drawing more than 13,000 followers, that number growing every day.
I feel like somebody needs to fight for her and that the whole truth needs to be told.
I'm going to start screen recording these so I can cut all the ads out of it. Hi, Peggy. Thank you for being here.
If you have any information about what happened to her, where she is, where her remains may be, call the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. In the studio, I'm Samantha Serban.
This is the park where Danielle was supposedly last seen at the party that they had, and then ended up at Robert Bassett's house.
And so, help me understand this whole connection with Alfredo and Robert, because I remember reading in one of their arrest reports that they were a person of interest in, it was redacted name, disappearance, and I've heard their names kind of surrounding, but how are they connected to Danielle?
They were friends, and they hung around together and everything, and I never knew that they existed until after Danielle came up missing. I mean, Danielle was 14. Alfredo was 24. Robert Bassett's around the same age. Whenever I found out, because she was living with her mother, I came over on Friday and she said she'd had enough of this crap over here. She's ready to come live with me. My son lived with me. And I said, okay, pack your stuff, let's go. You know, I paid for everything. She got groceries and all that. She told me that they were taking her groceries. I said, no, we're not doing that. So load up. And she goes, well, I was going to go spend some time with one of her friends, which was a sweet little girl, her name. And I said, I thought she was going off for her and somebody else. And so I told her, I said, ride home to school with my son. And she says, okay. So Sunday night, I get a call about 9 o'clock. Said, hey, Danielle never came home Friday. So you think I ought to call the law? I said, are you kidding me? I said, you called me on Sunday to let me know my daughter didn't come home for 2 days? I said, yes, you call the law. So I called and I said, I'm on the way. And got over there and then ended up going back over there the next day. And Alfredo was over there. And his Roel was another one of his cousins. And then they go, this is Danielle's friends. I said, Danielle don't have friends like that. I said, what are you doing? I said, that's no, you know? And so, but they were best friends from what I understand. And I had a conversation with him. I went searching for him. And so. It's just tough. I don't know. I just figured eventually somebody would say something. That was their biggest thing. Said eventually somebody's going to crack. Well, nobody's cracked. You know, it's been 24 years, and so this should be 24. So it's just tough. I have to drive back there every day. On my way to work, on my way home, if I go into town, this is what I got to ride by. So.
But you've never given up hope looking.
No. Everybody said, well, she's dead, they killed her. And I said, I don't know that. I don't know what you know, but I'm not going to that route until I know for sure. So there's people being found there 25, 30 years ago. You know, that's my hope. That's my hope. Because I'll never give up. So.
What is your message to somebody, you know, that maybe knows even a little piece of information, and, you know, knowing that at least one of the people that may be tied to this is in jail? They may not be, you know, I say that to say because some people are afraid to come forward with information. They're afraid for telling you that. What would your plea be with them to share what you know?
If they could understand the hurt that somebody has. I mean, to tell you this way, I had a friend at work. He come up to me one day.
Looks like we're froze
What I'm
again.
saying is if you know something, I mean, there's numbers that you can call where you're anonymous.
Is it still froze? Can't hear anything. Let me back it up, son.
No, it finally moved forward just a hair.
All right. Sorry, guys.
He said, I can't imagine what you're going through in years. I said, it's that way every day. You just try to survive. You live for your other children, your grandchildren. And so all I'm saying.
It is heartbreaking watching this man, I swear.
I can't believe that the mother called him. She's been missing for 2 days. Of course, you can tell, you know, and the mother calls him and goes, should I call the police?
Oh, girl, at that point, I would have probably caught a case myself.
Yeah, I would have copped a couple of charges, I can tell you. I would have probably caught more than a couple. But, yeah, if your child is missing, and you have to ask, do I need to call the police? Yeah.
I think the most important question I have is how did this mother, a known prostitute whose legs spread easier than the local cheese ball from the Food for Less, get custody of the kids instead of this caring father?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the
He had
first
the brother.
that's the first miscarriage of justice. But could they have could okay, let me just throw this out there, and I don't know. Could she have chosen to live with the mother maybe because there was more freedom there, or did the mother get custody of her? Because at a certain age they can choose, or did they say that the mother had custody?
Well,
That's a
that's
good
certainly
question.
that's a good question. I'd like to see those custody papers to see if that was in the divorce decree that she got the custody. But I can't imagine letting a 14-year-old girl decide who she wants to live with.
They can decide in Tennessee when they're 12. But at the same time, I think that there is a degree. I don't. I think that there is, like, if they go to court, if they can decide at 12. But I think there is, like, the judge looks at people and goes, they'll side eye a mother or a father and like, well, I don't think you need to be living there, based on.
Well, you would think that they would vet both parents' backgrounds before just allowing the child to be like, yeah, I'm going to go with my mom because she doesn't care. She'll let me do whatever I want to do.
Right. But you have, and I agree with that statement wholeheartedly, Arctic. But you also have to look how many times CPS fails these children, and they're the reunification process. So,
Oh, and we fight that every step of the way, every single
right,
day too.
right,
There's so much reform that needs to be done. And in a lot of cases, I would be on board for someone that's 14 years old to be able to choose. But I do think that, they've got to vet these parents and be like, oh, well, you're not going to just pick your mom because she's not going to watch you and she's going to let you do whatever you want to do. You get what I'm saying?
exactly. But and I'm sure the caring father that he is, if he see, I would be interested to see, because the caring father that he is, I don't think that he would have just said, "Oh, okay, you can go live with your mom." If he had custody, I think he would have fought that tooth and nail.
Oh, yeah. There's
If
no
he
way. I mean, and this lady doesn't even tell the dad for 48 hours. Well, I'm telling you,
and should I call the
should I,
police?
yeah, should I call the cops? Well, what do you think? What do you think you should do? Your daughter's been missing for 48 hours. You've been sitting there. The first 24 to 48 are the most critical. So you've already let that time elapse.
You should have called. You should have called after she was missing for when you didn't hear from her for the first maybe 4 or 5 hours. You should have called then.
Exactly. And what, again, we go back to what kind of mother is okay with your 14-year-old child being in a relationship with a 20 some odd year old man. And apparently she had told her mother she was pregnant by this guy. So what kind of mother's okay with that and still continues to let her have a relationship with this monster?
Yeah, I definitely would
I
not have been.
wholeheartedly believe that there has to be more to the reason why she wasn't already with the father. There has to be a reason. And the fact that he's providing for her even though she wasn't in his home and buying her groceries, and they're stealing her groceries and eating her food.
I think that oh,
Paula, they've arrested him for lewd and lascivious behavior, and one of the charges is for Danielle, and one of the charges is for another victim. But no one has ever been charged in her disappearance. What we heard from her sister, who is her biggest advocate, was understaffed, corruption originally with the original detective because he was bumping uglies with the mom. And I'm just going to put it out there because I live here. You got a big F, and it's the state of Florida.
And look, we're not out here to try to attack families at all. That's not what we're doing here. You've got the woman's own daughter telling us what type of person she was. You know, it's a completely different situation. And, when the evidence speaks for itself. She doesn't even let the father know for 48 hours that the daughter's gone. She didn't bother to call law enforcement. She has to ask the poor father, should I call Ellie even though she's been, I mean, come on.
right. Don't need to call him.
Yep. Right, and that's thank you for reiterating that, Arctic. That's if you're coming in late. I made that very clear at the beginning of the live. We are not attacking this mother. She is no longer with us and has passed away. But these are words from her sister, who is her biggest advocate, her voice. And I always say we don't victimize the family in any way, form, or fashion, and we trust the family unless law enforcement gives you a reason not to. Well, I would say the fact that she was having relations with the detective and he was fired over this, that's a pretty damn good enough reason for me.
Well, and if you look
at the hearing of your daughter's investigation,
and you look at the big picture here too, Mom, her own oldest daughter does not trust her, did not trust her.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, so you have to look at what her very own oldest daughter is telling us.
Absolutely.
That was 6 years older than when this young lady. We have to look at what that was 6 years older than Danielle. We have to look at what her other daughter is telling us. This was the older sister's mother too. So we have to look at what, and she doesn't even, she said my mom, but she only said my mom a couple of times because she used her government name. She didn't call her mom because obviously she doesn't like to call her mom. She doesn't like to refer her as
and she also
mom.
said she never spoke to her again.
Right. So and I can tell y'all this much right now. When I was 14, there ain't no way, even if my parents wouldn't have let me date a 19-year-old. I'm just saying. They would not have let me date a 19-year-old.
Oh, hell no.
My mama would have been so far. Oh, no. No, my mama wouldn't have went for that.
Now, maybe somebody that was 16.
And my daddy had been hunting him down.
But no, they would not have let me date a 19-year-old when I was 14, much less somebody that was in their 20s.
Let me tell you something. If I was 14 years old and I was dating a 24-year-old guy, my grandma, who ran the deli there at the local grocery store, would have thrown that SOB into the smoker and he would have been ribs the next day at Sherman's Deli.
But no, I wasn't even, I didn't get to start actually dating till I was 16. So but I was not, because my parents thought 14 was too young to be dating. And my parents are old school. So,
And you got to think this was 24 years ago. So this isn't the times we live in now where you got Snapchats and all this other stuff. We had what, Facebook? I don't even think we didn't even have Facebook back then. We had MySpace 24 years ago. Right? Yeah. Yeah, we had MySpace. And it was brand new. And AOL chat. Now
Oh, yeah. Well, AOL chat was in some ways worse than what Snapchat is.
Right. That's what I was saying. We had the MySpace, which was kind of like, our Facebook back then, but AOL chat was off the chain. And then if you had Yahoo chat, oh Lord, there was rooms and all kinds of stuff. And welcome in. Right. Yahoo. Absolutely. Thank you, Taylor, for being here. All right. I'm going to let this interview play out here. I personally needed a breather and I've done watched this twice, y'all, from this man, because it just cuts deep into your heart.
Is if you know something, say something. I mean, there's numbers that you can call where you're anonymous. I mean, just the pain of this, one way or the other. The not knowing is the hardest part of the whole thing.
When you just said it, it's not just you feeling this pain. There's
right.
So many people
yep.
who love Danielle and want to know.
Absolutely. So, I mean, just please say something. These people back in the day, I understand. I mean, I thought about it, them coming, trying to hurt me, which I don't care. You can come on to me all you want. I don't care. But, family, they'll hurt family because they don't care. So be anonymous. Please do something to give us a lead to where we can bring Danielle home. That's our biggest goal.
I asked Bonnie the same question, tell me about Danielle. Tell me about her personality.
She was outspoken. She was a go girl, She was into cheering and just she was a wild spirit, but my sister was that way when she was young, and then she cut, and now she just can be. People go through changes in life when they're young, So you got to pay this price for it. There's other ways. I mean, so, but she was special. She was a sunshine. I miss her every day.
Missing person case. This goes back to September 2001. Danielle apparently was at a party up in Cantonment, and she went missing from that location. There's been a tremendous amount of work done on this particular case. Just as we discussed, this particular file here is just a summary of what we have. We have multiple books, and several investigators have worked this over the last 20-something plus years. And again, to the best of my recollection, this is probably the most work case that I can recall in 28 years at the sheriff's office. We've got multiple leads over time, over 2 years. over several years. We get information on some of these cases, not regularly, but it does come in occasionally. And people who have been in jail or people who have been in prison who want to have some sort of leverage for the situation that they're in, sometimes they'll come forward with information. So we're always looking for leads like that. Get stuff like that occasionally. I've also been in touch with Nick Mick on this particular case. They're going to be doing another on it, and so they're assisting us as well. Again, it's very voluminous. It is a tremendous amount of data, and to review it is not really a simple task. It's actually a task that probably could be a career event of data that's there. And what we do is to go back and make sure that if we missed anything, we can go back and we can revisit it. If there's something we can go back and do again, we want to go back and do that again. And one of the reasons we want to do it is people change, their motives change, and what they want to share at one particular time is going to be different than what they'll share initially. Their circumstances will change and their relationships will change. So we're looking for those sort of things as well. To get into any more detail in that would be something I wouldn't be quite comfortable with, but I'll entertain whatever you may want to ask.
Do we have any theories as to?
Okay, so I'm going to stop right there for a second. Arctic's right. Really, 24 years seems like plenty of enough time to review the data. Or, how about since these two guys are in jail here in Florida, how about we carry our hind ends over there and re-question these two? Sometimes people, even if they're monsters like this, sometimes they have a moment of enlightenment where maybe they need to get something off their chest. We recently just seen Stephen Stearns write a poem, makes me want to puke, to Maddie in jail. Because when you're sitting in jail, if you've ever been to jail, you ain't got nothing to do but sleep, eat, and think. So I think that'd be a good start, is to do some good old-fashioned police work and maybe go re-question these guys.
Yeah, that sounds like a really, really good place to start.
I mean, I'm by no means a police officer, and I'm not an investigator. I'm an investigator. I'm not a PI, but I'm also not completely just out in the clouds. What do we do? What should I do? Well, maybe you should do your job. Maybe you should do your job and bring some closure to this family. What can it hurt to re-question them? What can it hurt to maybe go back and, I don't know, talk to some of their cellmates? I don't think it would hurt a damn thing. Hi, Sunday Doodles. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm sorry I'm not active with chat tonight, but I see you guys.
It wouldn't hurt anything for them to go and re-question. And I think it's very telling that he makes such a big deal that he's talked to Nick Mick. I was like, really? I talked to Nick Mick. I talked to the Aware Foundation as well as several other missing advocate organizations on a daily basis just as an advocate. And you're making such a big deal that you've talked to Nick Mick? Okay, well, that's great. Now go and do some real law enforcement work and go interview these guys that have been sitting in jail. One's fixing to get released before too much longer. Take advantage of the fact that he's still behind bars and go do your damn job. That's what you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because the one that's fixing to get out, he's in jail for witness intimidation, for lack of better terms. That's what it is. When you stalk and harass someone that was questioned in a case that you are a person of interest in or a suspect.
Yeah, that's witness intimidation.
Just going to put it out there.
And he's a big, scary
this guy
dude.
gets out in November.
And he's a big, scary dude,
Yeah,
too.
this ain't no small fella. He ain't no small feller by any means. And like I said, you know, in Escambia County is not that big. It's not that big. But get off your ass and do the legwork, because like Arctic said, we're nothing more than advocates. And we interact with these big advocacy groups, detectives, the FBI, the whole 9 yards. What's stopping a law enforcement officer from doing some legwork, or we'll just pull a YouTuber and name drop Nick Mick. Okay, bub, I see you. And that's, as again, the reason why, if you are going to be in the true crime community, and like Arctic has said many a times, our group is not the true crime community. We are the real crime community, and we are missing persons advocates that are doing this for the right reason. And I'm going to let this play out and calm down a little bit more, because I'm trying real hard to hold my composure.
What may have happened to Danielle?
There are several theories, and they have floated for quite a while throughout the community. But even to get into that and to share those sort of things, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize the investigation. And to be honest, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not familiar with every word that's in all of the volume. So for me to speak to any of that would, until I've had a chance to see all that, that may be detrimental, and I don't want to get into that. But there are multiple theories, and there have been several investigations that spun off of this. There were several other cases that came out of this investigation that did result in some arrests earlier on in the process, but never what we're looking for. Never her, and never exactly what happened to her. And that's what we're still looking for.
Is this a case like Greg Bryant and Antonio Brown, where you have an idea of who may have done it, but you need help? Or is it still trying to figure out what happened?
No, there was, as I said, there were some arrests that were made earlier on. And there was some of those suspects, and related from being possibly responsible for her disappearance. Got to the point where
I know you did stuff with Brad Dennis and the group he used to be a part of, the
Class Kids, I think.
Yes. Did anything ever turn up from any of those searches?
A lot of animal bones. We found a lot of animal bones throughout that, and those are some of the things that I need to go back and review as well, and see if there was anything else discovered in any of those things that we need to go back and look at. Very recently, I was looking at some stuff that indicated where it talked about things of that nature, but most of everything that I saw was animal bones, where they get certain calls and they'd follow up on, and we'll keep doing that to the extent that we can.
Can you talk about, when you got information, what it takes to go through and decide what to resubmit, if something's worth resubmitting?
Time. Lots of time. That's what it takes. It takes time to go through it and to figure it out. And what you do, I mean, because resources are limited within our agency, they're limited within the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So you do want to make those best decisions that you can to send off for.
So you bring in the FBI. If your resources are so limited, and I don't believe for a second FDLE is limited, I'm sorry, that's horseshit. They are our version of the TBI here in Florida. So my personal opinion, look, I made it this long, an hour and 40 minutes. Absolute horse shit. That's when you make a phone call and you call the FBI and you say, we can't handle this. We need help. We need resources. You shove your ego in your back pocket and you reach out for help. And Miss Barbara, please stay safe. You, like Arctic said, a community storm shelter, or get in the tub and cover your body up, everything with pillows, please, and then let us know that you're okay.
Yes, Miss Barbara, stay safe. Do you know what I think this guy is? You know what he's throwing out here? It's what we call that word salad. It's just a whole word salad because he wants to. It's just a word salad. Oh, the investigation. Dude, you ain't doing no investigating. You just throwing out some words here. You just throwing out words. You ain't doing no investigation. You just throwing out words. You're throwing out a word salad.
Amen.
It's just word salad. I need some dressing for this. Give me some dressing for the word salad that you're throwing out.
He's admitted that he hadn't even looked through everything in all the volumes of the case files. They've had this case for 24 years.
So
How
in 24 fucking years, he couldn't have looked for it. There's the word. I said it. In 24 motherfucking years, FDLE could not look through these case files. So he ain't done no investigation. Well, he needs to sit all the way down. Oh, go ahead, Arctic. I'm sorry. Your turn.
No, girl, you're saying what's on my mind too. 24 damn years. They can't do a thorough investigation. They can't even bother to read all the volumes, all the notes of the case and shit. It's almost as jacked up as what happened here when Morgan Nick got kidnapped, and a week later they arrest a guy who tries to kidnap a little girl at the Sonic here in Van Buren. A week after Morgan got kidnapped, they do a thorough search of his truck and everything, recover all kinds of evidence. But somewhere between Alma, Arkansas and Quantico at the FBI, they lose all the evidence that they've collected. So it took almost 30 years. They finally were lucky enough to track the truck down, get one hair out of that truck that they were able to match to Morgan, but now the guy's dead. He'll never do any justice or anything. We still don't know where Morgan's at. Poor Colleen Nick, she doesn't know anything about her little girl. She still holds on to hope that she's still alive out there somewhere, which I encourage everyone to do unless you got a reason not to. But still, and this family, we're at 24 years now. I don't want it to be 40 years for them. I don't want it to be 30 years from them. And again, just like we've seen in so many of these cases, like Barbara, like Colleen Nick, like, John Walsh, it's the families that have to advocate because law enforcement drops the ball. They're not doing their jobs. But God bless these families because they end up being a better advocate than any one of us ever could dream to be, because they've got that fire in their heart. They know what it's like to lose someone, and they go out there and do it not only for their loved ones, but they do it for other children too.
Yep. But that's just like that father said earlier when he was talking. He said he's had people tell him, well, she's dead. Da, da, da. And he said he's not giving up hope unless you've got proof to bring to him. And I don't blame him. It might have been 24 years, but I don't blame him for not giving up hope. And he don't want to hear that from somebody. So, but they're not doing, FDLE's not doing their job.
And FDLE is our version of the TBI and the GBI. And all these other alphabetical state agencies.
The alphabet soup. And here this dude is throwing out word salads, and he acts like what he's trying to do is he's trying to make himself look smart, but he's really making himself look stupid because you can sit here and go, oh, we haven't had time to look into that. I could understand if it happened last week that you haven't had time to look at this. This happened 24 years ago, and you have not had time to look into the case files. What the hell?
Mm-hmm. And these news, these news channels, they don't just pop up in your office and say, "Hey, hi, nice to meet you. We're here to interview you for." No, you get a heads up that they're coming. Take the time to at least read the cliff notes on the case. Take the time to at least read the cliff notes. That way, when you do an interview like this, you don't put out information that's going to hurt the credibility of the case or hurt a family. You're law enforcement. It took me a total of probably about 4 hours altogether last night to review information and look through articles and pull up what I felt like was the best ones to share with you guys tonight as far as information wise. This guy, 24 years. Man, why the hell take the time to, like I said, do good old-fashioned police work and re-question them. Re-question the possible witnesses. This was a party. A party.
Right. And
nobody saw anything? Bullshit.
Well, they ain't talked to nobody in jail because, a lot of times they will brag to their cellmates or whatever, but they have not. But it's a possibility that they could have. So why haven't they questioned their cellmates? Because a lot of times they could go, FDLE could go in there, talk to their cellmates and maybe offer to knock, depending on what their cellmates have done, they could maybe offer to knock a little bit off their sentence if their crimes aren't too bad, and say, hey, we'll knock you. They could offer them some kind of something. And if they had, they might sing like a bird. But you'd have to make sure, they'd have to vet the information first.
Yeah, well, you heard what I read in the article. Hi, Exotic. Thank you for being here, honey. Hope you're feeling better. You heard what I read in the article, that they're looking for leverage. So give them a little bit of leverage if they're willing to give you information that you can actually do police work and go vet the information that they're giving you.
Right.
How many times have we heard in these cases that they bug cells?
Exactly.
Bugs have been around since freaking World War II? Come on.
Not just that, but all the damn jailhouse phone calls are recorded. You know that these dumb motherfuckers are going to say something to someone. Someone has said something somewhere along the line in 24 years, and this is why we always tell people, I don't care how small the tip is. I don't care if you think law enforcement has looked at it. If you have something that you think may be pertinent to the case, you call that shit in, because sometimes it's that one small tip that everyone's overlooked that breaks the case wide open, that brings closure to these families.
Exactly. 100%, Arctic. No tip is too small. No tip is too small. And this isn't a 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old case. This is 24 years ago. People grow up, they change, they evolve as humans. If you saw something, if you were there that night, if you saw what happened to this girl, call anonymously and leave a tip if you don't want your name. There are resources around walking into the sheriff's department and saying, hey, I need to talk to y'all. You can do it anonymously. You can send an email. You can make an email, no name at yahoo.com. They're clearly not going to take the time to run down your IP address.
Exactly. And after, and I'm going to tell you, that monster and that monster looks arrogant. And I'm going to tell you what, he's probably bragged about something over the years. I guarantee it. In a phone call to somebody or something. He has bragged about something. Somebody out there knows something because he's talked to somebody about something because he's arrogant. He thinks he's too arrogant to get caught.
But Kimber, do you think if they haven't even read through the entire case file in 24 years that they've listened to all the jailhouse phone calls?
Oh,
Probably
hell
not.
no.
Exactly.
Oh, hell no. Mr. Word Salad's over here just going to go, well, we hadn't had time to. If you're going to be stupid,
it was so long ago, they're lost, and we don't have that. Files get deleted after 2 years, or I'm being facetious, by the way, but
if you're going to be if you're going to talk this stupid, don't get on the news. If you're going to throw out a word salad and not really say anything about anything, don't get on the news.
Exactly. And thank you, Miss Barbara. Doodle is out of power, y'all. She wanted Miss Barbara to let us know. Miss Barbara, you be safe. Exotic, thank you for being here. Brutally, thank you for coming in. Exactly. If people saw something, write an anonymous note and send it to law enforcement. Absolutely. You don't even have to put a return address on it. Stamps are kind of expensive. No, that's not a new hat, Phil. That's her normal hat. And welcome in, Phil. I know I missed you coming in. I'm a little focused tonight. Butterfly kisses. I know I missed you too. Thank you guys all for being here. I'm going to let this finish playing and let us calm down some here.
Is Klein still here? I
Yeah.
wanted to say hi to him.
Yeah,
Hi, Klein.
And Wisdom, I saw you. I'll get the Discord link in just a minute. It should be in the description of the video, but sometimes that for some reason it doesn't work from the description. I'll drop it in just a minute. I want to let this finish up playing so that way we can get Mr. Cop of the Year here off the screen.
For those things. So yes, it's a triage. It's not a whole lot different than what you would end up in an ER where they would go in and they find the most serious and you deal with that first. And some of the other things just kind of have to wait until you can get to them. And to give you a direct answer for that, it's just
thank you, Arctic.
It's just going through it and saying, okay, yes, this one looks like the most promising, And again, technology changes. But for this particular case, it's a missing person. We don't really have a known crime scene that we can go back to, and we don't have a body. So the hope would be that once we do find that, then we can do those forensic sorts of things and run it to ground and get an arrest made.
Do things get more complicated the more hands that are on this case? Because I can't imagine how many detectives have now worked this case.
Unfortunately, yes. The direct answer to that question is yes. It becomes more complicated. The problem is there's no way to really avoid that. That is simply the reality. You have investigators who retire or leave the agency or pass away. And as time goes on, time's our enemy here. As it moves farther along, you lose track of that. I have another case where Joanna Otto, who is a missing person as well, and I actually went and interviewed the detective who was the original investigator on it, so I could memorialize what he had to say and what he could remember. He's getting a little bit older, and I wanted to make sure that not only did we have his report, but we had whatever his statements may be as well for what he may remember. So that's a process as well. You go back, and it may seem strange to re-interview your own people, but 20 years removed, it's a little different, and it's a way to memorialize what we have here. And that's really the most important part, is to make sure you've got it. That way, hopefully you can go back through it at some point and find that missing clue. Or again, like I said, revisit something that you've already done, because you might get a different result. Unlike the definition of insanity, where you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, sometimes other variables change and you might actually get a different result, because we don't know what all those variables are out there. We don't know what might change. So whenever it does change and we continue to do the same action again, we may get a different result.
What do you say to a family such as Danielle's that is now 24
years into an event,
into something like this, and maybe they don't know if they'll ever have an answer?
You say that we don't quit, and we're going to keep trying. And that may not be enough solace for anybody. It may not be, but it's what we can offer, and it's what we can do, and that's our commitment to do that. That's why I'm doing the job that I'm doing. That's why we have a cold case unit, because we want to make sure that these victims know that, or these families know that we haven't forgotten them. We haven't forgot these cases. It's just like I mentioned to you before we got going. We have a 1981 case that we're working very hard. We think we're getting somewhere with it. And 40-something-year-old cases are difficult to do anything with. And this one's 24 years old. So the older truly sometimes with time, with the changes in DNA and in digital forensics and that sort of thing. You don't ever know what you're going to have later. Many years ago, all they could do was type blood. You could tell what type it was, and now it can be the whole string to unravel the entire case.
Now, if you can't answer this is fine. But when I was reading through arrest reports from certain individuals, there was suspicion in regards to Danielle possibly being with some not men significantly older than her at the time. Mm-hmm. Is there any information to confirm whether or not she may have been pregnant at the time of her disappearance?
There's nothing I can discuss with that. So.
And is anybody continuing? You mentioned that you guys do get leads in some other cases. Do you guys still to this day get in leads or get in new information with this case?
Yes, absolutely we do. And that's one of the reasons it's still considered active. This is one of those cases where things do still gin up to the top, and it comes to the top, and we have to look at those things.
Oh.
Oh, look at that. Mara Murray. That's another case that.
Well, I'm just going to be real about it. The reason why the case is still open is so that people can't go out there and simply FOIA all the information on it and see how bad you've done messed up throughout the years. And you want to bring up DNA. Okay. Well, we know, according to the sister, she was pregnant. If she's still alive out there, there's a baby out there somewhere. Have you gone down the genealogical DNA route to see if maybe you could determine if that child's out there somewhere that may be a link to her? Probably not.
I'm going to say they haven't.
No,
and
I don't
what
think
DNA's been around since the mid-90s. This happened in 2001. Where was the discussion about the car?
Well, and he said we don't have anywhere really to start with who was at the party that night. Hello. Go back to there. Go back there. I'm sure that if you opened that case, if you looked at that case file, if you actually opened the case file, there's probably a list of people who was at that party that night. Hello. Instead of throwing out this word salad that you just threw out to just make it look like that you're doing something instead of sitting down there on your fat ass doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Now you can go and you can interview a detective. Kudos.
But you can't go and interview a suspect. But you can't go to a prison and interview two suspects, one of which who is fixing to get out of prison. You can't do that, but you can go interview. We sometimes in these cases we go interview our own people to get their information on their subject, on theirs, and but you can't go interview suspects. Are you scared of suspects? Do they scare you?
And there's been other girls that have come forward.
Yeah. And he says, oh, well, the case is 40 years old, and 40-year-old cases are hard to do anything with, and blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, they're harder than the new cases are, but we see 40-year-old and 50-year-old and 60-year-old cases getting solved all the dang time. So they can be solved. It's just a matter you got to get your ass in gear. You got to look somewhere other than Dunkin' Donuts for information on the case, and you got to do real police work to try to solve it. Otherwise, you're right. It ain't ever going to get solved.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Put that coffee and that donut down and get out there and go do your damn job.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it gets more frustrating than that. I'm gonna pull up something else real quick before I pull that up. I want to show you guys something here. This was enough to just infuriate the hell out of me. Where's it at? I wish there was a way to like label stuff when you put it in the Discord, so I don't like. I wish I could put like subject 1, subject 2, so I don't mix stuff up. Okay, so this is the Facebook group. This is the official Facebook group. It'll also be in the description as well. But I want to say something from this. So this is the official Facebook group for her missing case. This is her sister Bonnie. So Arctic sent me this Amber Alert today. He posted about it. Arctic does all the things. And as Arctic said, you're fine, honey. You're fine. Like I said, we made it an hour and 20 minutes. I am proud of all three of us. I am proud of all three of us because, like I said, this is one that's going to make you infuriated. Yeah, this is going to make your blood boil. And like I said, I was going to cover the boys tonight because there is a group of boys that Arctic has covered and that were brought to me by one of my subs. And Arctic also has included another male that they just stopped getting coverage. And that's why I think it's so important that this is going to be one series that I'm not going to let this go. This is going to become an every Friday thing. It's a not forgotten Friday. So guys, if you have a case that's in your area that you're close to, that you feel like it's a case that you might remember from your growing up or as a teenager, and you're like, I wonder whatever happened to that case. If it's still unsolved, I will be more than happy, and I'm sure the team will be more than happy to give a voice to those people.
Most definitely.
But absolutely, and you know that I'm doing cold case premieres at least once a week on my channel now. So yeah, send it my way, and I'll look into it best I can.
Yep. I think it's important what we do here. I wish we could get more on board with what we do here. In order, he loves mine. There's a fire literally all around us. The smoke is thick. Yeah, Arctic was telling us there's some pretty gnarly. What did you call it again?
Dust fire nados.
Dust fire nados. That's terrible. That's quite terrifying. I had to step away. My dad called a rare occurrence. I'm back. I'm so sorry, Josh. I hope everything's okay, honey. I have several cases. I'll send you things. Yeah, definitely send it on over.
And we'll definitely integrate some of the cases that I do on my channel for my cold case premieres over here when we do the weekly show over here for Not Forgotten. So, keep sending them my way, guys. I know I'm a little slow to get them out sometimes, but I've got a lot on my plate right now. So
yeah, and we appreciate everything you do, Arctic. You're a machine, and we all have, our own real life stuff that's going on, but this is not a hobby. This is a passion. This is not views or sub farming is what I've decided today was my word for the day is farming content. These are real people with real stories and real families that need real help. Did you get your blood pressure up? Yeah, I'm pretty sure his blood pressure is pretty far up there. It's bad death town there back evacuating. Y'all be safe that's going through all this stuff. Yeah, he does. Absolutely, Sunday Doodles. Arctic busts it out every single day. He sure does. And if we don't see Arctic, let me tell you how bad it is. If I don't see Arctic in my night bot, in my little Carl bot that shows all of his videos, I'm texting Kimber, I'm messaging him. I'm like, is he okay? Where's he at?
We're texting him. We're
The
messaging
other
him on
day,
Discord.
two days ago, it was, I had to take my mother to an eye doctor appointment. I get back home and look at my Discord and my Facebook, and there's messages from Kimber. There's messages from Mom. Are you okay? What's going on? We haven't seen you all day. What's going on? I had to take my mom to the eye doctor. I'll be back. I promise.
Because I sent you a text. I even sent him a text on his phone. I was like, "What? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm at the eye doctor with my mom." And I'm like, "Okay, he's okay." Mom's like, "I'm gonna live
I was ready to
360."
put an air tag out. We finna
Mom's
live
like,
360 everybody.
Mom's like ready to live 360 all of us, and I'm like, "Well, you'll just be wondering why I never leave my house."
Where the hell did he go? Has anybody seen him? Is he okay? Has he checked in today? So bad. Mom for a reason over here. Okay, so there's something particular that I want to show you guys on this. I should have screenshotted it, but I love this. I do. I know a lot of people don't like her, but I think this is one of my favorite memes of the day. It says, find yourself someone who loves you as much as Nancy Grace hates Casey Anthony. I just wanted to share that. Squirrel. This is a flyer.
That's a great meme.
I love it. I love it. It made me happy when I was looking through stuff. I mean, by no means is that case make me happy, but the hatred for Casey Anthony. Anyway, so this is a flyer that also includes both of their charges on here, the two monsters. This Facebook group will also be in the description for everybody to look at. Look here. Look at this, such a happy kid. 14 years old. And she does look older than 14, but back then, you know, we were, or not me, you know, my stepdaughters were doing their hair and experimenting with makeup and all the things. This is what I want to share with you guys. I can't make it bigger. Yeah, I can. I always forget I have the little button here. So these are messages that was sent. And when this was sent over to Escambia County, they said there wasn't enough for them to investigate. Okay. Wasn't enough to investigate. Straight up monsters. So this is his best friend there, his bestie. Cantonment man facing battery and other charges, six cases involving his wife and two other women. This was August 5th of 2020. A Cantonment man is facing multiple charges for 6 different alleged incidents, including battery, burglary, and crimes involving his wife and two other women between May 5th and August 1st. Robert Louis Bassett Jr., age 43, was charged with 2 felony aggravated battery, causing bodily harm, battery to 2 of criminal mischief with property damage, burglary of a residence, multiple violations of domestic violence injunctions. He remains in the Escambia County Jail without bond Wednesday. An adult female told Escambia County Sheriff's Office deputies that Bassett punched her 6 or 7 times in the face during a disturbance over a $40 at a residence on Cedar Tree Lane. The victim, who was identified as a friend, suffered bleeding from the left side of her face, swollen eyes, and had marks on her face and the back of her head, according to the arrest report. And they're just going to let this guy out in November.
If he hit somebody 6 or 7, if he hit somebody 6 or 7 times, he did some damage. He's not a small man.
Nope, he's not. He's not. Look, these families don't give up. They don't give up. These are pictures from a recent gathering in 2017. Pensacola, Florida. You know, this is totally unrelated to her case, but I'm going to put this out there. If it hadn't been for a bridge worker, Gannon would not have been found. And that's why, if some of you guys are going to Escambia County, damn, I know that name from somewhere. But there's also videos on here as well. We've watched the 30-pin videos. I just wanted to show the Facebook group. I wanted to show those horrible text messages that are on there. Or not text messages, they're message comments. And then, of course, on here you have this amazing meme. And, you know, being serious and lighthearted, I love this one.
You need a man to tell him to fuck. Crop tops in the
bills. That's a bad bitch for you.
What is your message to registered offenders? So this will also be included in the description, as well as there's a lot of really good information on the Facebook group and some really good pictures as well. So at the beginning of the live, if you guys were here at the beginning of the live, I explained that this is a 24-year-old case. And I'm going to give a huge shout out to News Nation and a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart that they started a missing segment that they do. And I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys. And I refuse to pay for premium. I feel like I shouldn't have to pay for premium. I'm not going to pay for premium issues. All right. Since this is News Nation, of course they hit us with another ad. I'm going to speed this one up a little bit. I don't think they would strike me, because like I've actually met Brian Inton in person and I interact with a lot of them, but still for my own channel purposes, I am going to speed it up. Not a whole lot, just enough to where it's not playing at original speed.
I'm Marnie Hughes, and this is Missing. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Each week, we feature a missing persons case from across the country, no matter their race, religion, background, or circumstances. Every missing person matters, and with your help, our goal is to shine a light on cases that are not getting much attention, dig for answers, and offer support for the family and friends of the missing. This week's featured case, a teenager in high school, popular, a cheerleader, vanishes. Danielle Bell had her whole life in front of her. Danielle's best friend, Jennifer, says they were inseparable until she met a man much older.
Honestly, at 13 even, he kind of, I didn't want to be around him. I could tell, like, it was just off. He was older than us. He just kind of gave me, like, the heebie-jeebies.
Coming up, Alfredo Sanchez, the man Danielle was seeing, and the secret that she had shared with some of those close to her before she disappeared. Also, Danielle's sister will be joining us to talk about the case. Before we get to that, we've got several other missing cases we want to share with you. First, Bill Wolf thought someone was chasing him. His wife, Cynthia, called 911, and Bill took off. That was in July of 2024. Bill is 65 years old. He's from Chesapeake, Virginia. Shortly after he vanished, some of Bill's personal items were found in an unmanned catamaran about 3 nautical miles north of Little Creek Harbor in Norfolk, Virginia. Bill's wife, Cynthia, and the couple's son say the worst part is the not knowing. Bill drives a 2008 Ford F-150 pickup. It is silver, license plate IBD-WOLF. In addition to the Coast Guard, anyone with information should contact the Chesapeake Police Department at 757-382-6161. The disappearance of Sophia Franklin sparking an Amber Alert in Wisconsin. The pregnant 16-year-old is from Beaver Dam. Police believe she is with 40-year-old Gary Day. He's also the father of her unborn child. And now we've learned the vehicle the two may be traveling in is using multiple license plates. It's a 2014 black Buick LaCrosse, last seen with a Pennsylvania license plate, KGW 5186. Call 911 if you see that car, Sophia or Gary Day. Now to our featured case, Danielle Bell, a teenage.
So that just rings right in your ears, doesn't it? She's still missing with a man much older than her that she's pregnant by.
Yep.
I have to give Marnie a huge shout out, or her producer, whomever chose to feature her at the beginning of this, because damn.
Yeah, the two cases
It's almost
do
like
mirror
deja
each
vu.
other. Yeah, they mirror each other quite a bit in very many aspects. And this guy that's got the poor girl from, gosh, my mind just went blank. The Amber Alert.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Wisconsin, yeah. I guarantee you, he's changed that plate probably 5 times since the last update where he had changed the plates from Arkansas plates to Pennsylvania plates. That's why they haven't caught him yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we got to think that in this case, we just heard that earlier in the live, we heard that victim number 2, he wanted to take a road trip to Texas with her. It's just almost like it just knocks you in the back of the head, and you're like, you get so damn tired of hearing the same stories over and over again, because these offenders get let out and they reoffend. I'm not against somebody changing.
Especially in Sophia's case, because this piece of shit, the only reason why he wasn't locked up to not abduct Sophia again, because he had already done it once, which is how she got knocked up with his child to begin with, is because in the state of Arkansas, it was legal because she was of the age of consent, but it should have gone by what state she was from. Not only that, but he transported a minor across state lines for purposes of having sex with her.
Exactly. And these people give these predator hunters shit. I see their comments on their videos sometimes, because just to take a breather away from everything, sometimes I watch the predator hunter channels where they lure these guys in. Well, hell, law enforcement's not doing it. Justice system's letting these assholes out. So what happens next? The community does it.
Somebody has to do it, because you're exactly right. Law enforcement's not doing it. They're letting them out to prey upon the kids again. They're letting them out to reoffend, because 9 times out of 10, once an offender, they do reoffend.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Paula, what do you mean? What proof does News Nation have? It? I don't know which part you're asking about, honey. If you're talking about Sophia, the details that she just shared have been released by law enforcement on a press release. I haven't seen a press conference that I remember. I know there was some new photos that was released of her today. All right, so I'm going to let this one play.
With her whole life ahead of her. Last seen at a party at the house of an older man she was seeing at the time. Danielle's sister is on a mission now to bring her case to light and uncover the truth.
Did you know that one
My sister was the outgoing one that had a lot of friends. She was a cheerleader and she liked meeting new people. One of the last times I saw her, we had our photos taken together on Pensacola Beach and we just had a great day together.
Danielle Bell, only 14 at the time. The photo now on a missing poster.
I just remember her promising to call me the next day.
Danielle's best friend remembers the happier times.
We talked every day. We were almost inseparable until she started dating Alfredo.
Alfredo Sanchez, who was 24.
Honestly, at 13 even, I didn't want to be around him. I could tell, like, it was just off. He was older than us. He just kind of gave me, like, the heebie-jeebies.
On September 28, 2001, witnesses saw Danielle at this park, reportedly hanging out with Sanchez and people he knew before going to a party on Cedar Tree Lane. The house belonged to Sanchez's friend, a convicted felon, 24-year-old Robert Bassett. Danielle never made it home.
I knew Friday something was not right when she didn't come home, or I didn't hear from her, But by Sunday evening, I knew, and that's when I called 911.
So the dad was talking about the best friend. That was the best friend. And then this is an older news clip of the mother. Just for context, for those that may have missed it. I know Tandy said her phone had died in between, so.
Danielle's mom spoke with our affiliate WKRG in 2017 about her suspicions.
Too much evidence and things pointing to that she was murdered that night.
About 2 weeks before her disappearance, Danielle had shared devastating news.
She called me and she was crying and she was just telling me that she thinks she's pregnant with Alfredo's baby and she doesn't know what she's going to do.
My mom said that my sister told her that Alfredo had told her if she said anything to anyone, he would murder her.
A pregnancy could expose the relationship and land him in prison.
All I know for sure is that she was last seen at Robert Bassett's house and that prior to her disappearance, she had been involved in a sexual relationship with a 24-year-old man, which is really child sexual assault.
Even though searchers never found Danielle, in 2005, Alfredo Sanchez was charged and convicted of felony sex offense against a child after multiple people recounted knowing about his relationship with Danielle and witnessing them together. Robert Bassett is currently in prison on unrelated charges, including felony battery. Neither man has been charged in connection with Danielle's disappearance. Over the years, sporadic developments. In 2010, police searched the septic tank at Bassett's home, where Danielle was last seen. They wouldn't reveal what led to the search, only that they didn't find anything. In 2012, human remains were reportedly discovered off a dirt road near Alfredo Sanchez's home, but determined not to be Danielle's.
Hi, my name is Bonnie, and my sister Danielle Bell has been missing since 2001.
Now, more than 20 years later, Danielle's sister
is
on a TikTok crusade.
Because I am chasing and tracking down every single lead.
She's critical of the sheriff's office handling of the case and is now pushing for a new agency to take a fresh look.
I think there were individuals at that party that night that knew what happened and they've been scared to talk. And now that it's been 23 years and the main suspects are in prison, that they will talk now.
It's time to speak out and just like, let's give Danielle justice. Like, it's been a long time. If you know something, let us know. It's been hard.
Danielle's mother, Susan Bell, died from a drug overdose in 2020. Bonnie says that she blames her mom for knowing about the inappropriate relationship between Danielle and Alfredo Sanchez and allowing it to continue in exchange for drugs. Bonnie is with us now, continuing her crusade for answers in her sister's disappearance. Bonnie, thank you. It takes a lot of courage and bravery to do what you're doing. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me and just what you're doing and giving a voice to Danielle. And this is the first piece of national news coverage, so it means a lot. Thank you.
Right. And it means a lot for you to be her voice, to speak out and be her advocate all these years later. Tell us about your sister. I think that's a good place to start. What you remember about her, what you miss about her.
Danielle was 6 years younger than me, and we always, shared a room together. One of my fondest memories of her was she used to tell me, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Daria that was on MTV in the 90s, but she said, Bonnie, you're Daria and I'm Quinn. And it was so true. We were so different, but had such a close relationship. We enjoyed going to the beach together. She had a lot of friends, a lot of people that loved her. People loved to be around her. And there's not a day, even almost 24 years later, that I don't think about her.
Hard to believe it's been that long, Bonnie, several decades. And here you are still wondering what happened.
Absolutely. I think that the facts in Danielle's case speak for itself. I believe that this case can be solved. We just need the right set of eyes on it. So part of my motivation to continue is to get those eyes on it. And so just telling her story and asking those that are way smarter than me to help. I've talked to podcast creators, retired detectives that have taken a look at the documentation that I do have. And we all believe that it can easily be solved through either re-questioning the suspects or, having new eyes look at it.
Right. And sharing it far and wide. I want to talk to you, Bonnie, about some of the interactions between your mom and this older man that your sister was seeing, Alfredo Sanchez. At one point, your mom was interviewed and said she believed that your sister, Danielle, was murdered. Do you share that belief? And tell me about any interactions your mom had with Sanchez.
So yes, I do believe that Alfredo Sanchez and Robert Bassett murdered my sister, and they know where her body is, and I want them to tell us. I know that my mother was receiving drugs from Alfredo Sanchez. I also am aware that after my sister told my mom that she thought she was pregnant by Alfredo Sanchez, that Alfredo Sanchez was indeed around my mother and my sister, because I witnessed it 2 weeks prior to my sister's disappearance. I can tell you that my mom was a heavy meth addict. I
almost this exact bag makes me
think back to some of the things that she said over the years, and she was always apprehensive of me doing podcasts and national media. Looking back over it, and it's almost heartbreaking to think about the level of selfishness that my mother possessed. And that, I believe at the end of the day, she was aware of the relationship between Danielle and Alfredo. And she either at least turned a blind eye in exchange for drugs. And my sister fell victim to not only Alfredo and Robert, but her own mother.
Do you believe, Bonnie, that your mom knew what happened to Danielle?
I don't know that I believe that she knows where or knew where Danielle's body is. Or that she was a participant in that. But at minimum, I believe she knew about the relationship between Alfredo Sanchez and her daughter and turned a blind eye, or at most trafficked her to them in exchange for drugs.
Wow, that's hard to wrap your mind around. I know as Danielle's big sister. Take us back to that time. How old were you, and what did Danielle share with you about Alfredo Sanchez or this group of older men that she was hanging out with?
So I was 20. Prior to Danielle's disappearance, about 2 weeks before, I took her to get pictures made on the beach, on Pensacola Beach. And on the way back home to her house, where she was living with our mom, she asked me to stop at a payphone so she could call her friends to come get her. And I told her, no, I will be taking you back home to where I got you. Well, while I was there, I heard her ask my mom if Alfredo could come get her. This is the first time I had ever really heard of Alfredo, and he ended up showing up at their house. It was a school night. It was like a Sunday night. It was later in the evening. And when he showed up with two other men that were around his age, much older than my sister. They were my age. So I started questioning my mom as to why she was letting my sister hang out with these older men, and not only that, but go off with them in the evening time on a school night. And my mom told me, that she knew Alfredo Sanchez and he was a good guy, and that it was okay. And my sister, of course, got upset with me, told me to mind my business. So we got into an argument, and that was the last time I saw my sister. Wow. I got up and I left. Yeah.
Trying to help her, trying to guide her, and trying to intervene. What do you know now about the police searches, any questioning that they did about Alfredo Sanchez or Robert Bassett, one of his friends at the house where your sister was last seen? Where did that questioning go? And can you elaborate on why they're both in jail now? And have you had any contact with them?
So Alfredo Sanchez couldn't be found at first. When they did find him, he said he didn't even know my sister. And about 3 or 4 years after that, after she went missing, we had an amazing detective by the name of Mark Schmeester, who re-questioned all of the people that attended both parties, as well as Alfredo Sanchez, and discovered that he had had sexual relationships with a juvenile female, so sexual assault against other juvenile females, and he is now serving 40 plus years in prison for 2 counts of lewd and lascivious behavior, one of those victims being Danielle. His best friend, Robert Bassett, has a very lengthy list of felony charges and domestic violence and abuse towards women. So he's in and out of prison often. I have not talked to Alfredo Sanchez. Last time I saw him was in one of his court hearings. Robert Bassett has a history of calling and leaving me voicemails telling me that he is watching members of my family and making threats. Anytime I have put his name out on social media, he has attacked back. He's a mean, evil dude. And, he gets out of prison again at the end of this year, I believe.
Which goes back to my earlier comment. I think it's courageous and brave that you continue to speak out on your sister's behalf and you're on this crusade. What has come of you spreading the word about your sister's disappearance on social media, on TikTok, and what has that brought to you as you try to draw attention to her case?
Well, over the past 20 some odd years, I've been posting on Facebook regularly. I started posting about her on TikTok a couple years ago, and that is the most traction I've gotten. Where people have shown care and concern and helped me make connections with podcasts, even News Nation. If it weren't for TikTok, I don't think I would have been able to record the podcast. I think I'm up to 8. The goal this year is 10 podcasts about Danielle's case. I've met other people that have missing loved ones or murdered loved ones, and I've created a community around me of people that show care and support and have given me the drive and motivation to keep going. I mean, this is not, as you said, it is kind of scary sometimes, but I've never been one to back down from conflict. And at the end of the day, I feel like my sister deserves, to have her story not only, figured out and solved, but her story told at a bare minimum.
Bonnie, take me to 2010 and this search at Bassett's house. And then 2 years later, some remains were found. What came of all of that in the investigation?
Yeah, so 2009, 9 years after she went missing, they finally searched the septic tank at Robert Bassett's house. They said they didn't find anything, but then again, I've always questioned, why would you wait so long? And yes, there were human remains found, which we did find out were not Danielle's. But when we get these pieces of information and an unknown, like when we found out there were human remains, of course, it was near where she was last seen. We were anxious. We wanted to know if it was her. The communication, we found that out by watching the news. I feel like the communication from the Escambia County Sheriff's Office has been poor at most, minus, having a really awesome detective for a few years. It's hard to get them to respond or answer. But it always brings us into hope, for sure.
Are you in real estate?
Is the case still open? Is it an active investigation? And are you currently working with a private investigator?
So it depends on who you ask if the case is active or not, because I flew down back to Pensacola and met with the Sheriff's Department last spring. They were going to be starting a panel review, meaning that they were going to pull in people from other areas of the police department to provide weekly reviews of Danielle's case and come up with an action plan. So I met with them in April, I believe, and I was promised by July 31st that they would have an action plan moving forward. July 31st came. I never heard back from them, sent several emails, and then they told me that they could not provide me with additional information because it was an active case. I have asked them what their definition of an active case is, and of course, they haven't responded.
It's incredibly frustrating, I know, for you, Bonnie. As people watch this, if there were people who were in your sister's life around that time who have been scared to come forward, anyone who knows anything, what is your message to them as you yourself lead this investigation?
So I myself have, kept my direct messages open on all social media platforms. I have asked people to email me, talk to me. I will talk to anybody that wants to talk. You're welcome to call the Sheriff's Department. I know that I have given them leads in the past and they have not followed up on them. So I'm trying to collect information myself. Even if you think you don't know anything that might actually solve the case, but you know of any kind of activity surrounding these two gentlemen or my sister, as far as I'm concerned, I want to know that information because there's nothing too small. You might have a piece of information that, will solve it. But if you were there and you know what happened to Danielle Bell, please reach out. All I want to do is bring her body home. She deserves to be put at rest in a proper way, and her family, not just me, but the rest of her family, deserves to have those answers.
Yeah. And that her life meant something. Before I let you go, Bonnie, what were your sister's plans for her future? She was young. She was only 14. What were her hopes and dreams?
You know, Danielle really loved animals, cats in particular. She talked about being a veterinarian, and I wish she would have had that opportunity.
I do too. Bonnie Bell, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for speaking out on your sister's behalf. And please let us know any updates in the case so that we can share it with our audience as well.
Thank you so much, Marnie.
Thank you, Bonnie. If you have any information that can help in this investigation into Danielle's disappearance, you can contact the Escambia County Sheriff's Office or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We've got that number on your screen. And also reach out to Bonnie directly. She is her sister's strongest advocate. If you have a missing case you think we should...
So I'm just going to put my 2 cents in. If you have any information, reach out to Nick Mick or Bonnie. Just my humble opinion. Welcome in, Lisa. Thank you for being here. So you guys see why I thought that this was a good case to debut on the Not Forgotten Friday, and I gave the blood pressure warning at the beginning.
Absolutely.
I'm livid. I'm so angry for this family. Like I'm literally so angry for this family. And you know, as many
Mom,
of you guys know,
I know that you said that you've been in contact with Bonnie. Do you know if they've ever considered hiring a private investigator since they're not getting anywhere with law enforcement or anything?
I know that she's talked to retired detectives. She didn't say anything about a PI, but I can definitely find out. And what I was thinking was the next time that I reach out to her, I'm gonna ask her if she would come on and speak to us, and you know, let her have a voice here on this platform. And that way, the
She's welcome.
questions that we
Yeah,
have,
absolutely. I would love to have her over on my channel at some point as well. You know, as many people as we can reach, the better. You know.
yep. And I really think that I think that's a good idea, and I'm sure she would probably do it. She's been on several other podcasts on different platforms, Apple, Spotify. They're all, I'll put them in the description, and they're also on the link tree as well. But she was very thankful that I offered to do this tonight for her sister. And not only did I offer to do this tonight for her sister, since, you know, I know you're on TikTok, you don't get to hear us, but we've been calling you our fox in a box on TikTok. Our fox in a box had the amazing idea of a car show. And it just so happens that I know a guy, and we were able to make that car show event vendor booth happen. I also got her blessing to display flyers for take-home purposes on the table. And I also went back to that amazing print shop, and I got a laminated one to put on the table as well. She is a missing person here in Florida, so she will also be featured at our advocacy table at the car show. Because I figure if I'm going to do this, by George, not only am I so stressed out, I want it to be perfect. I'm going to get as many, if I have to tape them to the poles of the tent, I'm going to have as many people as I can put eyes on these missing people. These families that are fighting for justice and doing their own research and investigating their own cases because they can't get law enforcement to do it. And now you guys kind of understand why I'm so frustrated with Escambia County. I'm so frustrated with them. And this case is brand new to me. I see cases trend on Twitter on a daily basis. Missing Poster Mondays, I share between 50 and 100 flyers. I've never seen her flyer.
Well, you know how many I share to my community wall every single day, and I've not come across her flyer until you brought it to my attention tonight.
Yep. And
And
we're,
that's very sad.
OGs to this. We're OGs. We're diggers. That's what we do. We're worse than excavator operators. We be digging all off in these cases. And Facebook groups. And now Twitter has groups. Never have seen this girl's face. There are creators that live in and around this county. I've never heard them talk about her case. So we're going to give these cases and these victims and these families a voice on this team. Because it needs to be done. And sitting on our hands is not going to get it done. I'm excited too, Mike. Are you ready to pedal water? Craig's excited to go to Costco and buy, what did he call it? I don't even remember. He was funny as hell earlier. I can't remember what he called it, but he's going to buy the big bulk cases of water. And you guys know that it's a case that's absolutely working my nerves when I've got my marker over here and I'm flipping my marker. I got my Vlad cards in my hand and I'm shuffling them like a deck of cards, and I got a strawberry candy in my mouth.
You got all the things going over there.
All the things going tonight. Josh Bosch says, Arctic True Crime, I've never seen another creator with more flyers than you share, and that's facts right there. The man is a machine, and we love him, and we're honored to have him on our side over here. Justice for Danielle, absolutely. Lisa never late, always fashionably arrived. That human lie detector on listen to the phone on one of Molly's cases, so they was telling the truth. They had no idea, just spoken with a dangerous psychopath. Wow. Far's still hanging out with us. Thank you for still being here, honey. Mikey says he'll pedal whatever we want. You better be careful with that. We're trying to get attention to the table, Mikey. You guys are doers, not talkers. Thank you, Exotic. Absolutely.
You better be careful. Mom will have you auctioned off before she auctions the guitar off.
Raffle Mikey off. You do great. You do great, Arctic. Yes, both days. I'll be there both days. It's 3 days long, but my booth will be there for 2 days. The first 2 days, the 4th and the 5th, and the show will actually also be there the 6th, but I'll be there the first 2 days. Mikey says he's been auctioned before. You better watch giving me ideas, Mikey.
We'll have to bring Brian out, and then, I'm sure he'd pay top dollar for Mikey.
I'm sure he would. I'm good at trucking. I try to do it a little bit. Alicia, even if you take, and I say this, you guys, even if you take a flyer, you screenshot it, you grab it, you share it, you're still doing the damn thing. Every share matters. Every share matters. I'm taking physical flyers with me to this event that, Vladic's flyers are going to be stuffed in 500 swag bags. Cards for missing people are going to be stuffed in 500 swag bags. And then we're also going to have the table. But I took the time to have the flyers and the information printed and laminated, because what do we carry around with us? These. And people are more likely to do what? They're more likely to take a photo of that flyer or scan that QR code and share that on your social media. Because in the days and times that we live in, social media is not only a cesspool of evil, it's a damn good tool for people that do what we do. Because what are we always doing? When you have a moment of free time, and I'm guilty of it too, I'm not sitting here on my high horse, believe that. You scroll through your phone. You're waiting at a doctor's appointment. Who picks up a magazine anymore?
Nobody. I mean, I'll tell you how bad it is. Austin was reaming me a new rear end because on our Valentine's date, I was sitting there scrolling through my phone. I mean, it's just habit. I go through the groups to see if there's been any updates and stuff. And I said, I'm sorry, I just didn't even realize I was doing it. It just comes naturally.
You can't help it. Look, when I go to Kentucky to do family time, when we travel to Kentucky, I don't take my laptop with me. This time I am taking my laptop with me because I about went stir crazy. And I'm like, I'm going to unplug for the next week and a half. Y'all, I am lying because nobody smokes but me. So I'm on the front porch. I got to smoke a cigarette. I'm out there with my phone, checking updates and scrolling Twitter and messaging, and it's bad. It's bad, but it's what we do. It's ingrained in you. It's ingrained in you. And like when you get into a case that, and I don't mean to take away from trending cases, but when you get into a case that's trending or a case that's close to your heart, you'll find yourself waking up in the morning and you might be doing your morning banking and drinking coffee. Take your phone with you. Most of us do. I do. I'll admit to it. And you're looking for updates. I'm not a morning person, so I'm like, I think I'm going to go rent a hotel down there so I'm not late. 45-minute drive, so throw me sideways. Good Lord, Mike. I go, actually, the end of April, I'll be in Tennessee for Bethany's wedding because I was honored enough that I was invited to go to her wedding. So I'll be attending that. And then while we're up on that side of the equator, I'll also be visiting family. Yeah, the car show in Orlando. Right, Arctic got in trouble. I do read the magazines at the doctor's office. Look, Josh has got to be different than everybody else. Mow down some smokes. The honoree, not the honoree. The honoree, not the honoree of the true crime community.
Well, to be
he's
fair,
the
I'm a little bit
honoree.
of both of those.
I was gonna say he is the honorary Arctic of true crime. Phil. The thing, yeah, there's another case. How many of us remember this case? The dingo stole my baby case? Or Stingo ate my baby? Wasn't it stole my baby?
I thought it was the dingo ate my baby, but I can't remember.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That's how I found a tornado warning the other day. Good Lord. Hey, TWI, thank you so much for being here. We hadn't seen you around in a while. Just don't confuse your wipe and scroll game. Oh, Lord. Thank you, Phil. PSA for everybody. Thank you so much. Far says, exotic, very sad. Most people in the country knew a dingo can take a baby. The city folks are idiots. Far. Y'all don't understand how much I love this woman. She's freaking amazing, and we've rescheduled our Aussie crime night for Sunday, and Far is going to make sure her headphones are working, and she's going to come up, and we're going to talk about some Aussie cases that need some coverage and revisit a couple of the cases that I went over the night that that I did the Aussie true crime night. I sent you one to look at later, moments in Discord. It's just infuriating, just like Molly and Colt. His name is Heath Rums from Oklahoma. Okay, thank you so much, Brutally. Trending cases are great, but also saturated in representation, so don't apologize for sharing the lesser known. Jody, you've never heard of that case? That's what I thought it was stole my baby. Ate my baby. Now we have a whole debate going on in here. But then after that time, they did figure out the dingo did take her baby. Yeah, not much difference. Are you from Massachusetts? Mikey. You had a gold star and you gonna come in with that. Uh-oh, we lost Kimber. She fell out the window. She over pushing buttons. Yeah, she did go through pure hell by the public. Mom, good to see you, Kimber, as well. I've been working too much. Let's hope it caught you live. Well, we're glad to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. And we've been going for about almost 3 hours at this point, so you'll definitely want to replay crew and watch. It was a really good. I feel like it was a really good live, and we got some coverage and some attention brought to this case. And this is not going to be the only time that I cover her case. I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bunch of information together, and I'm also going to do a video and have a video as well on the channel, because a lot of people, they don't want to sit through the lives, which it's not a 6 or 7 hour live, but 3 hours is still, unless you're able to put your phone in your pocket and listen from headphones, life still happens. So I do want to upload a shorter version video with everything kind of in there without ads in it. And I'm also going to reach out to Bonnie and see if she would be interested in coming up on panel and talking, and Arctic as well. And Doodle's not here, but I'm sure Doodle would do it too. I'm sure she would. Doodle would love, and she does great with the interviews. So
I did a whole swipe left thing, and
I don't even know. I told you she's over pushing buttons.
No, I was swiping.
What was you swiping?
I don't know why I
The
swiped.
missing. Hey, honey. You been lurking in the bushes, girl? A dingo ate my famously associated in the 1980 case of Azaria Chamberlain, whose parents Lindy and Michael claim their 9-week-old daughter was taken from their tent. Yep. And there's actually another case of a little girl. I want to say she was 4 or 5, and I should be ashamed of myself for not knowing this child's name off the top of my head. But it's also an Australian case. Far probably will come up with the name. Yep. Far, you might know what case I'm talking about. It was a mom and a dad, and I want to say the little girl and a brother were camping in the outback, and they were riding their bicycles, and a guy abducted her, and they ran the parents through the freaking ringer, and of course the public ran the parents through the freaking ringer. I've covered the case. It's on my channel. I can see the little girl's face, but I cannot think of her name. And come to find out that this guy had taken this kid and had took her home and kept her locked in the basement, I think it was. Really sad case. Chloe, thank you so much, Far. You're so awesome. Far Speaks Mom. That's another famous case. Here we go. Western Australia native got her. He dressed as a woman and bathed her and had lots of dolls. Yep. Arctic, you familiar with that case? Did we lose Arctic? He's having some pretty gnarly storms, guys. We may have.
I am not familiar with that case. I had to step away for just a moment. Sorry about that.
You're good. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming in. I think if we have enough time on Sunday when we go over cases with Far, I may bring that case back to light too. It's been solved and she was found, but it's still another one of those cases that makes you, it makes you be like, damn. These parents were just treated like the most horrible people in the world. And come to find out, they didn't do anything to their kid. The baby was actually abducted. Well, she was a toddler, but I'm old. Baby to me. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to pull something up here. Everybody in the path of these storms, please be safe. I'm a worry wart over here. I'll have a chain email going out. Are you okay, Chan? Wisdom remembers the case. I'm glad you guys speak mom, because I couldn't think of the child's name or anything. I could think of the details. You know which case it is? They sure were. It's disgusting. Yep, it was disgusting. That dude was weird as hell. I agree, Wisdom. Fixing a snack. I'm over here eating strawberry candies like they're going out of style. I think I'm down to like 6 of them in my bag over here, and I buy them 2 bags at a time. Did the movie quickly down under portray closely what was done to the Aboriginal people? You asked for unsolved cases from our area. Yes. If you have an unsolved case that is a case that's the family is still wanting justice, or maybe a case that hasn't had coverage, please tag me in the Discord. There is a channel in the Discord. It's cases from subs. Put that in there and then just comment Not Forgotten Friday, and that way I can move it, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a folder, like a locked folder, for the Not Forgotten Friday cases, so that way they don't get lost in the mix of Discord, because sometimes when I'm researching, I'm just dropping stuff in and dropping it in and dropping it in, and that's how it gets all out of whack, because when you're doing the research and you're finding stuff, everything doesn't get shared publicly. So that's why I said I wish there was a way that I could color code what I want to share on live and what I just pulled up for my own brain sorting purposes. Yes, that's the case where the child was taken from their tent. Oh, TWI, please be safe. Kimber's worried about it hitting Tennessee too. Almost a panic attack at this point. I've been praying hard for those in Missouri, now in Arkansas. Yep, we all are TWI. We've got members of the community in both of those states, and of course Arctic as well, and Doodle. So I'll be glad when she checks in and lets us know she's okay, which Miss Barbara let us know earlier she didn't have any power. But
yes, she had texted me earlier and said she didn't have any power. Wait, it was before the sun went down, and she told me, she said, if you don't hear from me, don't worry, I'll be in my cellar. She said, I'll be in my storm shelter. She said, I don't have cell service there because it's covered with dirt. I said, okay.
Phil, I'm scrolling. I don't see nothing. How far up did you put it? Just drop it in Discord. That way I'm not having to scroll through chat, because I might end up losing the chat. Please and thank you. I didn't mean that to sound like an order, but yeah, it's a lot easier if you put it in Discord. That way I don't lose it. Exotic, I haven't seen that. I will tell you, the immigrants first came from, they were shown a film, says you cannot root as many blacks as you leave a white woman alone, root the black out of them. Wrong. Yeah, the Aborigines have been through hell too.
Yeah, Wisdom, she's been without power since Doodle's been without power since about 6:30. Because she texted me at 6:30 and she said the power went out and the storms weren't even there yet.
I look tired. I'm sorry, guys. I might look a little tired. I didn't sleep good last night because when you get to doing this, like you find yourself down a rabbit hole, and you can't sleep until your like brain is set with the fact that okay, I've looked at everything I can possibly look at to cover this case credibly, and to not look like I don't know what the hell I'm doing once I got up here. And it's been a long day because tomorrow I'm going to Bethany's bridal shower. So today was clean and get everything finalized and all that stuff because I won't be home for most of the day tomorrow because I'm having to travel. The woman's been posting flyers, so I know that she's alive. Oh my Lord. Doodle posting flyers, and Dutchie ain't even taking time to let the bones sit. She's out here doing the damn thing too.
Well, at least Doodle's phone was charged before the lights went out, and she has cell service, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, guys, is there anything else that you want to input from tonight? Opinions, statements, emotional outburst?
I just think it's a damn shame that, law enforcement drops the ball yet again. And, I think had the father, who seems very loving, very devastated over his daughter's loss, had custody, this whole thing could have been avoided and we wouldn't be even talking about it today.
Yep.
Very well said.
I totally agree with Arctic.
Oh, Lord, Lisa said, don't get her started. Alicia said, I've got a few of those built up. I won't forget to check my email. I'm fixing to go through all my messages after the live, Jody. I promise I'll reply back to your email. It's on my mind. Like when I'm sitting in front of the computer, it's on my mind. I'll check my email. I promise I won't forget you. Barb says she has nothing nice to say. God love Barb. Far said, I would just like to say I got the headphones working. Yay me. Woohoo for Far. Phil says, can't we all just get along? We can get along just fine. I just don't get along with lazy ass law enforcement. Y'all know I back the blue. We have some beautiful retired law enforcement that's here in our communities, and I send them nothing but love and hugs. And if she wasn't in her shelter under dirt, she'd be on panel tonight. And I believe that what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this flyer here that I'm fixing to pull up on the screen. And I'm going to send this story to Ruckus. Because I think that Ruckus would be great for maybe fueling some fire under some Escambia County Police Office ass.
That is an excellent. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea.
Yep. He just seems like he's needing something to put fire under asses for, and I think this is a great case. These cases are brought to us for different reasons, and I think this is one that I'm going to send to him and say, hey, can you take a gander at this? Yep, retired Ellie. Yep. Seems to be a common occurrence, Ellie dropping the ball. Absolutely, I agree. I agree 110%. Thank you so much for being here. I haven't seen you in a live in so long. I know that there's some great Ellie peeps that help get effing frustrated at lazy. Yeah, absolutely. The down power lines from the winds have been to blame for a lot of the fire Ooh. Ooh. This day and age, you think they could put him underground. Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve's another good one. Yep. We love Mr. Steve.
Absolutely. Love Mr.
He
Steve.
stays so busy. Oh, yeah. Mr. Steve's my coffee buddy. He's awesome, amazing person. He does the damn thing, goes boots on the ground, helps these families, helps getting cases re-looked at and stuff, you know, and him and Ruckus, they're best friends. So Ruckus is going to be at the car show. And like I said, I'm going to send him a text probably in the morning. I don't want to text him this late at night, which he's probably up. But I'm going to send him a text with her flyer and see if we can fuel some flame under some law enforcement's ass. And I'm also going to reach out to Bonnie again and let her know that we did the show tonight and see if she'll be interested in coming up and talking to us on panels. Because I believe that the more exposure that we bring to Escambia County and the more advocacy that we bring to her sister's case, Danielle, is going to be what she needs.
Yeah, I'm also going to forward it to my national media contacts to see if I can get any of them to pick it up too. So
perfect. Thank you, Ardit. This is what teamwork does, y'all. What did she... Exotic Mom, I want to talk about my favorite Gene Hackman movie. I'm so kidding. Love you. Love you too, Exotic. Over here, Exotic got jokes. Well, guys, the flyer that's on the screen is Danielle Bell. She is missing, has been missing since the end of September of 2001. She was 14 years old when she went missing. She has brown hair and blue eyes, 5 foot tall, 120 pounds. She's white. The last time she was seen in Cantonment, Florida, that's Escambia County. The picture on the right is an age progression photo from the National Missing and Exploited Children. This flyer is a endangered persons clearinghouse flyer. If you have any information, the sheriff's office is on this flyer. But as I said, and as News Nation has said, and her sister Bonnie, if you have a tip that's not too small, please reach out. Please reach out to Bonnie or to Nick Mick with the information. It is your choice if you choose to reach out to Escambia County, but I'm afraid that if I push Escambia County, it's going to get set on a desk and never looked at, much like the suspects were never questioned again. Yes, I'm out here in the dusty panhandle, not your panhandle, so no car show for me. I'm sorry, Josh. You always come have coffee. Maybe we can, if there's two of us, we can con Mr. Steven staying in Florida long enough to go have coffee. Well, guys, is there anything else that you guys want to share tonight?
I'm good. I thought it was a very interesting story. I'm glad we got to cover it and bring some light to it.
yeah, I'm good. The Amber Alert that I started the day off with, he's been found safe, so that made my night.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. That was, once I got to looking into it, oh my Lord. She took him at gunpoint.
Yep.
Found safe, two of my favorite words. That's awesome. Look at that. Great show. And Arctic came in hot, flaming hot with great news. That's awesome. That is amazing. Well, guys, as always, remember, if you see something, say something. It takes a village to raise a child. We never give up. Arctic?
Y'all, just remember to be kind to one another. You never know what the next person is going through.
Kemba?
We never lose hope and be good humans.
And I will catch you guys on the flip side.